house construction.
When did that come up though?
I think last fall.
Oh, okay, so before, okay, all right.
I mean, for chairman.
It's good?
Yep.
Yeah, we're recording, it's good. Call this meeting to order. This is the regular town board meeting at Town of East Troy. It's August 19th, 2024 at 6:30 PM. Roll call, Clarkowski here.
Leonard here.
Reyes here.
Church here.
John are here.
All right, pledge of allegiance, please, and then please remain standing after the pledge.
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Just in the recent past year, Judy Skatarczyk passed away, former president of the LVPIA. Great lady, great resident. I'm going to use a quote here from Tom Bernhardt. He allowed me to use this quote today. He says, Judy was short in stature, but in my mind, she'll always be one of the giants of Lake Beulah. May Almighty God rest her soul. One more silence, please. Thank you.
Make sure you're signing in as you're coming in, please.
All right, Kim, are all of our postings in order for tonight's meeting?
Yes, they are.
All right, approval of the agenda. I heard we're going to make a move here on one item. We'd like to move item 8E1, discussion and possible approval of fire truck purchase agreement with the Village of East Troy. I want to move that up so Fire Chief Joe DeGaro can get out of here.
He is on duty.
He's on duty. And so that'll be one change. They'll move it up to right after the clerk treasurer's report. Is there anything else that anybody wants moved or removed? We can't add. If not, a motion to approve the agenda with the one change.
I'd like to make a motion to approve the agenda for Monday, August 19th, 2024 as modified.
Second.
All right, we have a motion and a second. Any discussion? Hearing none, all in favor say aye. Aye. Opposed? None. Motion carries.
Thank you.
Okay, we have minutes to approve. The first one is the regular board meeting from July 8th. I did not have any marks on mine. Anybody else?
Yeah.
Yes.
Go ahead.
On page 2, under activity report for Supervisor Church on June 10th, please eliminate May 1st and everything after checks. So eliminate May 1st and May 4th and beyond.
Okay, remove May 4th.
Yeah,
And beyond.
May
So it's-
1st. and
Oh, okay.
ETASD sign checks.
Gotcha. Okay, 2 Mays. All right,
That is my only change.
all
I
right.
also noted just above that in the chairperson's report on June 18th, sub-bullet multi-use trail planning. I'm assuming that's grant with a T instead of.
Yes,
grant.
thank you.
Grant T.
Good catch.
One.
That's all I have.
So you had Joe. Joe, did you have something you were?
I actually, I want to make a motion on this to send the meeting, the minutes from the planning commission back to them because I found 5 pages of factual errors that need to be corrected. I would work with Jen watching the videos from the planning commission to get the minutes right and get the facts and set the record straight to the town board.
You're talking about plan commission meeting minutes? We didn't get to that
We're
yet.
not there.
Oh, I thought you asked.
Yeah, okay, did you have any comments on the actual board meeting minutes? No?
Make
Ty?
a motion to approve the July 8th board meeting minutes as amended.
Second.
Okay, we have a motion, a second to approve the Monday, July 8th board meeting minutes. On the motion, all in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? None. Motion carries. Okay, now you had a comment, Joe, on the next item, which is we have planning commission meeting minutes from July 10th and July 17th. Are you referring to both?
I'm referring to the 5th, I'm referring to the applicant 1800006A,
Okay,
West Ridge Cottage Industries. There is, I've been watching the videos and going through the meeting minutes, and there's factual things in this, actually quite a bit of it. I have 5 pages here going through it of things that do not match. So
Okay.
I made an error and I actually approved on these, but after review, I cannot in good conscience go forward with the minutes as stated and presented to the town board.
okay, you'd have to, whatever changes you're talking about, you'd have to have your plan commission approve them and bring them back here.
Right,
Yeah, you can't change them yourself with Jen.
right,
They have to be approved by the entire planning commission.
Right.
These
Right.
minutes were both approved by the planning commission already.
Right. But to add to your list, though, if you're going to be doing that, on page 2, and actually anywhere it's mentioned Chord, that should be spelled Chord, you know that.
yeah,
And then on the second page, it says Attorney Cook, Chairman Cook. That's the only thing that I see on that. But if you're going to make some changes on this,
grammatical quite a bit, and then some pertinent information that I found off of the video that went to the minutes here. So it's actually quite a bit. I have a big packet full of highlighted.
okay, now this, again, July 10th and 17th, or just one, both of them?
It's the 5th, the 10th, or yes, the 5th, the 10th, and just the recent one pertaining to West Ridge.
I don't see
The 5th has already been approved by the planning commission and the town board.
Okay,
Correct. So you're talking about what's in this packet here, July 10th and July 17th.
17th, yep, I have quite a bit on that also.
Okay.
Do you want, it looks like Barb has
I have
something, I have a few things as well,
Okay,
just to see
so
if you have them included.
You're gonna pass
Go
them
ahead,
to
Barb.
them? or-
Okay, on page 2 of the planning
I'm sorry.
commission,
July 10th or 17th?
July 10th,
Okay.
Okay.
page 2. I actually numbered lines, so if you go down to line 9, it says specifically, it should be specific.
Thank you.
And then, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, paragraph 5, which starts Chairman Cook. It would be line 45. Chairman Cook again noted that the competitive disadvantages that are being mentioned.
I wasn't sure what that word was either.
Yeah, I didn't recognize that word either. Okay,
Those are the only 2 that I had on any of the planning commission minutes.
okay.
I had on page 1 of July 10th, in section 2, that first long paragraph, about the middle of the paragraph, it says, on this date of June 10th, 2024, I'm assuming that's July 10th, in the middle of that first paragraph.
Yeah, I see it.
Yep.
Yeah, it can't be before that date, right?
Yeah.
Okay.
And then on page 2, in the third paragraph, the last line, it should be at this time instead of AY.
Yeah, did have that.
I'm sorry, what was that?
It says AY instead of AT.
Oh, gotcha.
Want to make sure we have the real word there. On the July 17th, that second paragraph, I think, has lots of carryover from other meetings and has to be rewritten. Because this one was the decision meeting, right? Not the public hearing
Correct.
meeting.
Right.
And it refers to June 19th and So that whole paragraph, I think, has to be reviewed. And then there was just typo error.
Yeah, should all be spell checked. Minuets versus minutes.
Yeah, that's, I had that one.
Right. Right. Okay. All right. So what I'm seeing is there's going to be changes to the minutes. They're going to have to be approved at the next plan commission meeting. And then whatever first town board meeting we have after that, we do the same deal here. So you should make a motion to table approval of those minutes until a later date.
I would like to make a motion to table the planning commission minutes for July, what days would it be?
10th,
10th,
7th.
10th and 17th, and send them back to the planning commission for corrections.
Okay. Do we have a second?
Second.
Ty, second. Discussion? Hearing none. All in favor, say aye. Aye. Opposed? None. Motion carries. Okay, I believe that's all we had for minutes. Clerk treasurer's report. Kim?
The treasurer's report for July 2024. Total receipts for July were $42,435.36. Transfers were $214,000. Interest earned was $212.13. Balance as of June 30th was $9,233.72. Total funds for July were $265,881.21. Checks paid in July were $253,171.78, leaving a balance of $12,709.51 in the general checking account.
Any questions on the treasurer's report? If not, a motion to approve.
I make a motion that we approve the Town of East Troy Treasurer's Report for July 2024 as presented.
Second.
Tyson, second. Discussion? Hearing none. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? None. Motion carries. Anything you want to comment on your activity report?
Anybody else?
Or anybody got any questions on it? I do not.
I'm assuming you're gonna go over the audit.
Yeah, that's next. That's an actual separate agenda item.
Perfect.
All right, continue.
Okay, Jean and I did a little research on the auditing. 3-year contracts seem to be the norm. Our proposal from Baker Tilly for the first year was $18,750. I gave you quite a few examples of different things. I really think after getting this information that for the service and the quality of the work we're getting, that their $18,750 is very reasonable.
And I do believe we have a further, under attorney's report, we're going to be authorizing
Jim to review
Jim
it.
to review.
And I gave him a copy last month.
All right. All right. Any questions on this?
So
No,
can you remind me, is ours 2 or 3 years?
Ours is a 3-year. That's standard.
And it was like 5% year-over-year inflation?
I don't remember exactly. I thought it was either 3 or 5%. Yeah. So
And this Romanesco,
they only do
Going up.
smaller municipalities and they're phasing out their larger clients. Like they just got rid of the town of Geneva and they're comparable to what we are. So
the town of Whitewater, is that much smaller than us? For 4,800?
yeah, well, it's the town of Whitewater too. They have no court, they have no BD. They have one DPW worker, they have one person in the office.
In
They
town
have
of,
no medium.
yeah.
They have none of that.
And town of Geneva had them and they just got rid of them.
Yeah,
So,
they're looking for a new auditor actually,
right.
so. Some of them I was super
So
surprised.
Town of
like
Geneva got rid of Romanowski or they got, or
Romanowski
got
cut the
rid of-
town of Geneva because they're
because they're too
bigger.
big?
Yeah,
Yes,
those.
yeah. Plus it's kind of a small shop kind of thing. So that's why they're cutting down their smaller clients, so.
Okay. Any other questions on this for Kim? You got plenty of examples here. I would say that Town of McWanago is similar to us, similar.
They don't have a
cost.
landfill fund though. Which
That's
is
an extra
separate,
cost.
and yeah.
Right. So, I mean, I'll repeat what I mentioned last month is that quality has a price, and why buy a potential problem with a new auditor that could give us bad service? Baker Tilly has done great for us ever since we had them, so I think it's a good thing.
The one thing I do appreciate with Baker Tilly is that they sit down with me and show me what they're doing, where the numbers are coming from. So every year I learn something. So,
That says a lot.
yeah.
Did the town, go ahead.
I guess the only thing is, I would maybe push back on the automatic increase every year, but
The inflation.
Yeah, I don't know how
Tell that to
you,
the grocery store.
Yeah.
I tell
Well-
all my suppliers.
yeah, and the thing about it is if you get that locked in versus going with, some type of a cost of living type increase, you don't know where that's gonna be. Budgeting wise and locking in 3 years at a known number has its advantages.
And by giving them 3 years, that's why I tell them I want the same price for 3 years, because they're locking in too.
True,
But
true, they are.
it's in my blood.
But
so.
there are people who get raises every
Those
year.
purchasers.
Yeah.
Supposed to do that.
Fortune people.
Did the town of Geneva let you know what they were paying?
No, they did not.
They did. Okay.
They're looking for new, so.
So I guess we vote on it
So-
later, right?
Jim's gonna
Well,
review
Jim's gonna
the
review
contract,
the
and then
contract.
probably next month would be,
Yes, the next
Yeah.
month would be the one that, okay, we have a contract that's been reviewed and potentially tweaked for us to approve. So today's item was just discussion, are we gonna stay with Baker Tilly? And I think what I'm hearing is that's probably the smart thing to do, is to stay with them.
So that
So,
was it. I want to know if Geneva gave her a place.
okay, anything else on your report, Kim?
nope, I have the quarterly for the 6-month period. I think that's it. Election went really well. Badger books are amazing. And the sheer fact that we had every single one of those poll booths open in the back of the room was awesome.
And they were full.
And they were full.
All
Yeah.
Okay, all right, public comments, and again, limited.
First-
Are we amending it to,
Oh, that's right. We moved Joe up here. Discussion and possible approval of fire truck purchase agreement with the Village of East Troy.
at this time, I'd like to invite Chief Joe DeGaro to.
Good evening, everyone. It's never a good thing if you see me before you, so I apologize on that, but I appreciate you making the time for this, as this is very time pressing, so thank you for that. For those of you that don't know, in July, our one engine 1720, which is the 1998 Pierce Quantum, went down with potential transmission issues. We got it to Interstate Power Systems, which confirmed that the transmission is done on it. They threw out the price of $23,000 for a rebuilt transmission to be put into it with less than a year warranty on that transmission. Over the last year, we've started having issues with this along the way. NFPA states that this engine should have been done last year. It's 26 years old this year. Should have been out of service last year. It's trying to stretch this one until 2030, which we have been looking at a price tag of $1.3 million to replace this piece of equipment. I don't think it's fiscally responsible to stick this $23,000 into this. We put $12,000 in it last year just for rear drum brakes on it because they no longer make parts for this. We had to have a machine shop custom make the drums for it. So this year now we're on the transmission. Motor does have some issues to it as well, so how long are we gonna hold up on it? So I talked to Pierce. Pierce kind of put out an estimate on this piece of equipment in perfect running condition. They valued the Pierce Quantum at about $30,000 to the right buyer on the right day. So putting another 23,000 into this, I don't think is responsible to do, nor are we being compliant by continuing on with this. With that being said, I also understand that we're going already into an expensive year for capital for the department. But going this pathway, I've reached out Pierce, Rosenbauer, and E1 for quotes on a potential replacement of this, not only as a full engine, but I thought maybe we could probably kill another bird with one stone here by looking at something that's going to better fit. One of our biggest issues that we have is actually in the township of getting around to these lake homes with our apparatus that we do have due to sheer size. Getting down Island Drive is one that stands out to me right now, which at this current moment, we do not have a piece of equipment that can get down Island Drive outside of the tenders. Our engine and tower are too big to cross the bridge. 1720 could go across the bridge with scraping the front bumper on it, so we would get that one across, but we got areas that are unprotected right now in your township. So that's why this is time pressing. I got quotes back on a mini pumper, which is an F550 chassis with a 1,500 gallon per minute pump on it. It does fall under classification of an engine and can better suit that spot. Rosenbauer came back with a price quote between $430,000 and $450,000 for one, and they're looking at a 2-year build out. Pierce came back that they have one coming off the line sometime between now and maybe the beginning of the year at a price mark of $430,000, and E1 came back with the Fouts mini pumper at $365,000 that is available right now. It was their FDIC demo model, so it does have some of the upscaled additions to it than opposed to these other quotes that I received in. Like I said, kind of moving forward on the financial end, I understand that it's already an expensive year we're going into on it, but looking down the road in 5 years, making this purchase now is going to save the tax basin $1 million on what we were expecting to replace this at in 2030. So that's a big savings. Even further pushing the implication of understanding money doesn't grow on trees. That we had capital outlaid in our 5-year budget at $100,000 towards building ground repairs and upgrades, which I looked at and started getting some pricing in on things, and that's not going to necessarily suffice on that. So my proposal to the district board was that we reallocate those planned funds and capital to do the 5-year financing of this mini pumper. So there would be no cost increase to any of the municipalities to drive down this road. We'd just be reallocating that capital funding. The first payment would be due in September 5th of 25. So there would be no money due right now. It'd be out next year on it. We did sign a 30-day letter of intent with E1 to hold this while we tried to sort this through the boards. The village board had the first board meeting of the month, so they got this first. They agreed to be the financer of this piece of equipment because the East Troy Area Emergency Services District Board cannot own any debt. So one of the municipalities would have to take that head on. So I know Attorney Mills has gone through with Attorney Gary, and the village asked, their big ask on this was, if they're going to be the financing agency, they approved it on their end, but they'll be the financer, is that there was a purchase agreement signed between at least the village and the town of East Troy, showing that the town says we will pay our portion annually for this piece of equipment. There is a rider stipulation in there for if Spring Prairie decided not to partake anymore in the district, that the money that they would be contributing would be split 50-50 between the town and the village. At this point, I don't have any inklings that Spring Prairie is going that way. They were very understanding of the situation. So moving forward, if you all sign this agreement tonight, there would be another agreement, an addendum to the agreement that would bring Spring Prairie into the agreement as well. But it is pretty imperative that we do get this signed tonight. The village did have the credit and the financing all arranged. It is ready to go. They're ready to send it off tomorrow morning, overnight, to leasing 2 weeks at the most. It depends how long it takes the leasing company or the financing company to send the check to E1. But it is in the state. It is about 30 minutes away from us at this point in time, and they're holding it there.
Okay.
We have the first right of refusal,
You do have the first right of refusal, but only until the 29th of August.
right?
Is it considered new, chief?
It is considered new.
Even though it's
It's
a
a
demo, it's
That
not.
was my
It's a
question.
2024. It's got 1,000 miles on it from them driving around and demoing it. It's just down in Indiana last week, being shown to their department that's also interested in it. It's been to Lake Geneva. Lynn has been looking at one as well.
This would come with warranties,
It still comes full warranty on this.
so that
From the
is
date of
another
purchase, I
protection.
assume? Okay. And then what, is it all right if I ask?
Yeah.
Okay. What were you projecting to buy in 2030?
Same replacement
same thing?
engine, yes.
A
So,
mini pumper?
no, a regular, another engine, just
regular
like 98 was,
Okay.
yeah. So like the 1998 Pierce was.
And
So-
when you and I had talked, and that even was an issue sometimes to get down to some of these places, is that correct?
Yes, that is correct.
Okay.
So that
So
one,
this mini pumper is gonna be more useful for our municipalities, I assume? than
100%.
Okay,
100%. So
So-
this is the size of an ambulance. Lengthwise, it's the same size as our ambulance in length. And it's actually about 8 feet tall. So it also gives us the clearance in it. It has the full pump on it, the 1,500 gallon per minute pump. It's got a 20-gallon foam tank on it. It's got a 300-gallon water tank on it. So we'll still have to be chased like we would have to anyways at this point with a tender or something to
Sure.
be able to continue to supply water. But one of our biggest hiccups that we would have had was actually getting to some of these houses or getting close enough to one of these houses in a timely fashion.
one more. So does this house 2 or 4
It
crew?
it can house all four.
It
Four
does.
people.
Now,
yep.
does it, you still have to fall under the same rules of having 4 people, I believe is what you told me, to have the engine be able to move?
Under Mavis, yes.
Okay,
In our local, we could go out with 3, 2
Okay.
in, 2 out rule.
so that doesn't, because it's a mini pumper, you don't get, go with less people. All right,
Yeah.
okay.
And then,
Go ahead.
and then by doing this now, are there other pieces of equipment between now and 2030 that, I mean, so in 2030, we won't have a different vehicle that we'll need to replace?
No, so this
So-
would take the place of that 2030 replacement at that
Can do
1.3
all
million.
of it.
And it
Yep.
would save us
We
$1
need it.
million at least, because we don't know what the inflation would be. We also don't know how long it would be to get a new piece of equipment, because the build time is dependent on many other factors.
Sure.
Yeah, right now they're looking at 3-year build times on a normal engine. They're 3 years out.
Well, we are still getting a ladder truck in the
Yep.
future.
That-
like next
That's
year.
what I'm saying next year is, that's why I understand the gravity
I wanna
of
make
this
sure
right
that
now.
everyone
And like there is more,
Yes,
yeah,
yes,
in the
so-
plan.
That's why I tried to come up with a plan here where we weren't going to cause any more implication into that tax.
Gotcha.
The
So-
ladder truck is what we should be setting aside for, or anticipating that amount to be called.
Okay. All right, if you could stay there. Jim, you have reviewed this agreement,
I have.
and I noticed in our packet,
Discussions with the village attorney, we went over it together.
I have 2 copies. One says draft and one doesn't say draft, but they're identical. So I take it the draft was before you reviewed it, and it's good? Good to go?
Yes.
Okay. All right.
It's also my understanding that a week ago, the village of Spring Prairie agreed
On the 8th,
that they'd be signing on. So a lot of what precipitated some of the terms in this document, our percentage, at least for now, will not be incorporating some of the village of Spring Prairie's
Town of Spring Prairie.
Sorry, Spring Prairie's costs.
So we'll be at the 53%, which is 193,450. We won't jump up to the 56.
That would be correct.
Is what we're assuming.
Yes.
Okay,
Yes.
well, the main reason why we have this agreement is that the village of East Troy took on the responsibility of being the finance, okay? So I did have discussions with the village also, and Mr. Johnson said that, who's first, and as it turned out, they're first because they met before we did, otherwise it would have been the other way around, but I think either way, we would have needed an agreement. And we're the two main players in there, but that rounding error, if you want to call it, for Spring Prairie is not going to become an issue, nor should it, because it sounds to me like this is a no-brainer, saving $1 million for Craig's sake, and the service will be better in certain areas, especially around the lakes. It's a good. I think it's the best of all outcomes based on an emergency happening, and it happened. Not much you can do about it. So.
Does this improve our ISO rating, our insurance rating? with
I
the-
mean, it keep our ISO rating the same as it
It would
is.
be?
Yeah, it's not, I
didn't
mean,
know.
tower will improve ISO rating because
Okay.
it'll be 100 foot opposed to the 85 one. So that affects directly into the ISO rating, but essentially ISO is gonna be looking at, as of right now, we're down to 2 pumps.
Right.
We're down 1. We're replacing a pump with a pump. They're
Right.
looking at that gallons per minute and stuff.
ISO is insurance ratings, which are what our homeowner rates are impacted by. So the tower coming might lower the ISO ratings, which would be better for homeowners insurance costs.
Correct. Okay, I think what we need is a motion to approve this agreement and authorize your chairman to sign it
I make a motion.
and the clerk. Well, she has.
I'm a given.
Go ahead.
I'll make a motion that we we sign the agreement with the Village of East Troy, purchasing the backup engine from E1 at a cost of $193,450 to be financed for 5 years at 5.89%, with the first payment to be due on September 5th, 2025, in the amount of $86,387.68.
What was that rate?
Yeah.
The financing rate?
That's low.
5-year, 5.89%.
I second.
5.89?
5.89.
I thought it said 8.9.
Good.
Okay.
All right, Tyson, second. Discussion. All right, hearing none on the motion, all in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? None. Motion carries. Let them know.
Thank you all.
One
Thank you, Chief.
question.
Absolutely.
I know you said that like perfect world, if we get 30,000 for it, is it now basically salvage value is what we'll get?
Essentially, we'll put it out and see what we can get for it. And
Okay.
so,
Perfect.
thank you all very much.
Could you let the village know?
I will let you.
Does that mean these go back and
Any money they would get.
Do we got
from
any?
salvage.
In the notes-
That go back.
Did the motion also include authorizing all schools? The motion did have that?
It didn't say to authorize, it said to purchase, approve purchase.
So
Okay.
Sign the agreement.
I would like to make a motion that we authorize Chairman Clarkowski and Clerk Buchanan to sign the contracts to purchase this piece of equipment for the ETA ESD.
Okay, do we have a second?
I'll second.
Tyson, second. Discussion. Hearing none, all in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? None. Motion carries. Okay, it's signed. All
Thank
right.
you.
All right. Public comments. I see some new people here. So during public comments, you have 4 minutes. Gene will give a 3-minute warning so we know, so you know how much time is left.
Name and full address.
Name and full address is required. So if you have a comment, why don't you come right out up?
I'll make it brief. Eric Jones, W 4774 Overlook Drive, Elkhorn, Wisconsin. The reason I'm here tonight is back on, well, very quickly, lifelong resident of Elkhorn, owned a business over there for 30 years. I'm a private pilot for the last 20 years. And I fly out of Burlington Airport locally. So back on August 5th, I made a request to the Chairman Clarkowski and to Clerk Buchanan to discuss the possibility, I own an amphibious airplane, lands on water and land, to look at potentially landing on Lake Beulah. And in the whatever you want, your chapters, 16-05-180, aircraft cannot land or take off on any part of the lakes regulated by this chapter, except in emergency, thank goodness we don't have those often, or unless a special permit has been obtained from the town board. To me, a special permit is looking at the options, looking at what, I land on Lake Geneva, I land on Delavan, I land on Como, I land on Fox Lake, the Fox River chain, I land on the Rock River. Those are the local ones that you're all familiar with. And I can tell you, Lake Geneva and Delavan and Como and Fox Lake chain are not exactly isolated lakes. A lot of traffic on those lakes. Landing is not a reckless activity. There's absolutely not a environmental issue. And I fully understand, I have friends on Lake Beulah, and I fully understand the congestion on Lake Beulah and the areas of Lake Beulah, but I also know there's many times of the year that it's not. And a special permit is, well, okay, we could look at that, but there's some rules, right? There's some rules like, no touch, what are called touch and goes, where you come down and land and take off. I would never do that. There should be no training. I'm not even a CFI. I can't do that. There should be just limited, maybe even looking at it and say, well, we could look at that, but maybe before Memorial Day, or let's look at it between after Labor Day of this year until the end of the year and see if it's a problem. How many times a year are we talking? Maybe 5, maybe 6. It's not a lot. It's to visit friends that I have on Lake Beulah. So I made, and I am a past city councilman, I'm almost past president of city council, president of planning commission in the city of Elkhorn. I kind of know that, people make requests all the time. Sometimes they get listened to, sometimes they don't. I did make the request in writing on August 5th. I made it again on August 14th. I made a follow-up on August 16th to the town, and I was basically told, yeah, that's not going to happen. Well, to me, a special permit granted by the town board is the whole town board. And I think I at least would have appreciated the opportunity to come to the town board, show you some maps, show you an idea, show you a picture of my boat, or my plane, show a video of it landing on different lakes. So you have an understanding that it's not a big tank. It does not have weight larger than a pontoon boat. It does not displace water larger than a pontoon boat. Very quiet when it's landing, and about, John can help me, maybe 25 seconds taking off, where you have the noise to take off. And we don't land in congestion. I'd never land in congestion. I would never come over Lake Beulah, look down and see boats in the middle of Lake Beulah and say, oh, gee, I'm going to try to maneuver around those. I'm not stupid, and I'm not unsafe pilot. Never had an incident in over 2,000 hours. I just would have liked to have the opportunity at some point in the future to either come here or to present more detailed presentation of why it's safe, why it's not a problem, and why there's lakes all over the state, all over the country, where people land amphibious or float plane equipped planes with no issue. Because I don't want any issues. I just want safety, and I want an opportunity to come and visit friends and have dinner and then leave, that type of thing. So, thank you.
All right.
I hope I didn't hit the 4 minutes.
You're good. All right, I'll let you know that I am not going to be putting that on the agenda, so I recommend that what you do is send the same email that you sent to me and Kim, and all of our email addresses are on the website. And if anybody wants to put it on the agenda, they can. I'm not, but anybody else can, then we have to discuss it. So I understand fully. And I didn't,
would also appreciate, Chairman, to have had contact, because I asked you 3 different times. I
I
asked you
had-
twice in a letter, once in a phone call, and you refused to contact me. I did
did.
not understand that. I'm a professional, I own a business, I'm also a past city council president, and I would never look at anybody and not respond to them in a negative or positive direction with what your plan, or, I mean, obviously you're very resistant against it, and I appreciate that, but it's the town, specifically in there, it states, it's town board decision, not the chief.
Understood, understood. And I'm just letting you know that how it gets on the agenda, anybody here can put it on the agenda.
And I would think that a request would go through the chairman, and then that same email could have easily been forwarded to all of the chair, the whole town, they could have done that.
Yeah, well, we have quite a few issues here,
I
okay?
understand.
And,
I just would have liked to have some kind of,
Gotcha. Understood. Thank you. All right, next.
Good evening. Thanks for the opportunity. My name is John Gritschke. My address is 6211 Anvil Road in Crystal Lake, Illinois.
Spell your last name for me.
Gritschke. It's on the sign-in as well.
Thank you.
Although I'm not a resident of Wisconsin or East Troy or the township of East Troy, town of East Troy, I am a 32-year frequent guest on Lake Beulah, guest of riparian owners. And I just wanted to stand up and speak in support of Mr. Jones and his request. I'm also a private pilot for 42 years, also a certificated seaplane pilot. And Mr. Jones and I had discussed this for a couple of years, and the fact that it's prohibited by the ordinance of the town to operate a seaplane on the waters of Lake Beulah. And we just thought that it was not a ridiculous request to ask that that be considered. It's a safe operation. I've been doing it for years. I frequently fly with Eric on all the lakes and waterways that he mentioned. Lake Geneva is a very busy waterway and very wavy waterway. So there are times when we come in and we want to land, but it doesn't look like it's a good time to do it, so we don't. We go somewhere else. I think that flying seaplanes is fun, and I remember as a kid being on a lake that I frequent in Canada, and a few times a year a seaplane would come in and would taxi right up to the beach. And nobody ever said, wow, that's a reckless operation or that's unsafe. Everybody always said, wow, that's really cool. And that's the way I would feel if I saw it happening on Lake Beulah. And I also support the fact that I understand that it's at first glance, it's an unusual request, and it's something that doesn't happen regularly on Lake Beulah. But I would support a limited test. I read Eric's email, and I would support a limited test case for, at this point, it's not going to happen until after Labor Day anyway, to get any kind of a special permit because of the scheduling of the meetings. But something after Labor Day and prior to Memorial Day of next year, when traffic is light and maybe not even on weekends, or maybe during the week, just so people can see that it's not a bad thing. And if it was a limited thing and everybody decides eventually, we don't like that, if the residents don't like it, well, then they can say no more. But I'd like to see it on the agenda and put up to a vote. So, thank you very much.
Thank you.
And I do apologize, Chairman Slakowski, it defaulted to 15 minutes on the first one, so I was like.
Are you okay?
Yeah, no, we're good now. but
You're good now.
It was like, what happened? So I apologize.
Okay.
You're welcome, Eric. That was not purposeful.
If I could handle a few things before you start my ticker, because what I want to talk about is what I'm gonna hand out.
So I'm just gonna give these to you here, and you can pass them down and let the whole board take a look at them. When I was sitting on the bridge when you came by at 2:06 on Sunday, I was waiting for my people to come back so I could jump in and bring them through the culvert. So I just wanted to show you that. Okay. And I just want to show you guys this picture right here. I'm going to give you a copy of it, a small version of it. But this is just what our shoreline looked like in 2011, August 1st. And I have an individual one for each one of you.
This is on the Fred Sapp side.
No, that's on the the lake side. That would be the east side of the road. And I'd like to request that everything that I am giving to you guys here be put on the record and in the minutes, so I can do an open records request and get it all. Now, if you want to have documentation of when that picture was taken,
This one?
This
Yeah.
should be included in the minutes, so. you should-
yeah, I'm just gonna show you, because it was from my phone from 2011, and I barely got the thing started. But you can see right here, the picture, the date was 8/1/2011. And that's the same picture right here. If you blow it up, that's the same picture you're looking at, and it's 8/1/2011. So that way you have documentation.
This, John, this?
Yep, right here. This was done on 8/1/2011.
Okay.
Just want everyone to see that. Okay. 8/1/2011.
What's that?
That's the picture that you have right here. That's this picture blown up.
It
It's off
should
my old
be,
phone. It's
this,
from a phone that's 14 years old. And this is the timestamp.
This 4 minutes is gonna
8/1/2011. See it, 8/1/2011,
Otherwise, this should be presented to the board.
8/1/2011.
Should be.
It was 2:53.
Joe.
2:53.
All right, let's
All
go.
right, John, there, you'll take too
John,
much
going
time.
forward, this should really be part of, because you're taking time from the meeting. So it really should be part of your 4 minutes, unless you're able to provide that for the board ahead of time, okay? Just FYI.
Next
Just
time,
FYI.
go ahead. Start it.
All right.
Address, John?
North 8831 Strings Bridge Road, East Troy, Wisconsin, 53120. So I wanted to express my disappointment for how my rezone and conditional use application was considered by the planning commission. I have received the minutes and I watched the videos of the June 5th, July 10th, and July 17th planning commission meetings, and I have found distortions, inaccuracies, and what I perceive as one-sided storytelling. The letters I provided from the county and the DNR are in support of my request. They were severely and unfairly downplayed by the planning commission, which is a huge disappointment to me. All right, for the purpose of setting the record right, I have pulled together key factual information which supports my request for rezoning and conditional use approval for my property. My quick summary of this information, please follow along in the packets I provided to you. So if you start on the first page, I'm starting right on the top page right now. All right, let me flip this over. We're gonna go right into the first page. Please see letter dated June 5th, 2012. This letter is from Town Attorney Mills to the Town of East Troy Planning Commission. Pam Shenzi from the DNR states the number of piers and watercraft that John had at the property has been grandfathered due to the new legislation that went into effect on April 17th. Okay, flip the page. Please see letter dated February 28th, 2012. This letter is from Town Attorney Mills to Darren Schwanke, Walworth County Zoning Officer. When Attorney Mills contacted the DNR to ask how to measure the shoreline, Attorney Mills was told that it was appropriate to count every foot regardless of the irregularities of the shoreline. Attorney Mills goes on to state, I believe that the town ordinance reasonably read to allow 5 moorings in the form of a pier, and the number of boats therein would not matter unless you have 10 or more boats would require a marina permit. So please flip it over now. Please see section 74-179 conservation districts. What I applied for was in a C2 Upland Resource Conservancy District. Under conditional use, C3E yachting clubs and marinas. That's what I applied for at the planning commission, and it's going to be coming up in front of you guys here. Please see the Walworth County definitions of a marina. Marina means the use of a building, structure, place for the rental of watercraft or the rental of mooring space that consists of a pier, pier slips, wharfs, mooring structures, or a combination of the same for securing the watercraft. So basically what I'm trying to edify here is that it doesn't matter what method you use to count the shoreline. It doesn't matter what. The picture that I provided to you, the timestamp that I showed you on my camera, shows that the boats were in the water on August 1st, 2011, which meant that anything that was in the water on that particular date is grandfathered. Okay, so the cord method doesn't matter. All that matters is what was in the water and what was documented. So I have very well documented what was in the water and what was there. Thank you.
30
Thank you.
seconds left, John.
No, I'm good.
Jeez, catch a breath.
Insurance, speak. We're not ready to get anything in the minutes. Then we have to be able to comment as far as the people work.
Okay. Go ahead, Carla.
It's real short. I would just like to get on the record as being one of the owners of,
Address?
oh, come on, you know it. North 8590 Sterners Bridge Road.
Thank you.
All right, I'll start over. I would like to get on the record as being one of the owners of PET 18000068, the inaccuracy of the minutes from the Planning Commission. The minutes do not match the video that I watched, and I just want that on record. Thank you.
Thank you. Okay. Come on up. All right. Are you coming up, sir? You are, okay. Just wanted to make sure.
Harvey Altenberg, W1011 State Road 20, East Troy. I'm here with my wife Eileen and Tom Rossmore. Tom is passing out a few pictures and some other information. We're here representing the Oak Ridge Cemetery Association. For over 160 years, the cemetery has been a quiet, secluded property in the town of East Troy. Recently, the wooded property east of the cemetery was annexed to the village of East Troy for development. The developer nearly clear cut the property. A row of pine trees on the part of the property line was totally removed. A deep retention pond was dug very close to our property line. And the Starbucks drive-through is within 10 feet of our property line. This was all done without ever consulting the cemetery board. Although they were supposed to consult us before the construction began. Many people with loved ones in the cemetery have expressed their displeasure. They expect the cemetery to be a quiet and peaceful place to visit. Tom's parents are buried close to the property line. When he pointed out that the village regulations say there's to be a buffer between the properties, we were told that is a village regulation. We're part of the township. Members of the cemetery board have attended village planning commission meetings to reestablish a visual and sound barrier between the cemetery and developed properties. There is also a safety concern regarding the location of the deep retention pond on the property line. I don't know how many of you town board members are familiar with the Oak Ridge Cemetery. I encourage you to take a look at the situation if you haven't seen what we're concerned about. We found that some of the village people weren't. The Oak Ridge Cemetery Board appreciates all the support the town board has given us in the past. We would deeply appreciate any and all assistance you can give us in encouraging the village board to push for a proper barricade between the cemetery and the development for aesthetic and safety reasons. Thank you for your time and consideration.
Thank you, Harvey. Just to let you know, I do meet monthly with the village president and the town chairman, town of Troy. And I did bring this up the last two meetings. I know I talked to you on the phone a couple times. They are changing their own development ordinances to try to prevent this from happening again. And I said, that's not good enough.
I was gonna, yeah.
Because
That's gonna have-
what's existing there now is a problem. So they are gonna change it, and the village does want to do something here, but they feel that they can't force it, and that's gonna be a point of discussion tomorrow. I do think that eventually we're gonna have to, as a board, write a letter of request, because we can't direct them, and stating those facts and say, hey, something's gotta be done here. And I've been out there and I know exactly what the issue is, and it's not good. It's not good, So hopefully we'll come to some understanding on how to fix that. I would think that Starbucks, if they're gonna be a good, good neighbor, that they would take care of this for their own customers, if not for your customers as well. So there's gonna be more to happen here, but we don't own the cemetery, but it is in the town, so we have a responsibility to try to force some action, and we will. Okay.
I feel there could be that retention pond right there now. I mean, it's just a huge drop right from our property down there. And I think that could be altered somewhat. And we'd like to see a row of arborvitaes or something along there, something that's gonna be a little sound and.
Sound division, yes.
And we've just actually discussed this the last two meetings, I
Yes.
think, that we've
Yes.
had. So it's definitely on our minds.
Yes, and it's just gonna come down to how we request / direct, because we can't really direct, but we have to strongly suggest that this is no way to be a good neighbor.
Unfortunately, when it was annexed, there was nothing we could do to stop
Yeah,
it.
we had
Yeah.
we couldn't stop that, obviously, and
Right.
we do not approve the plans, the village did. You went to the right place. You've been actually to their board meeting too, I believe.
Yes.
And I'm sure they told you they're gonna try, but I didn't hear anything definite yet. I'll find that out tomorrow.
Okay. Thank you very much.
Jennifer Torsh Costa, N9174, Humphrey East. My husband's family bought property and built a home in Lake Beulah in 1936. My husband and I are now owners of this beautiful property. I am going to be addressing item K2 on the agenda, the West Road Cottage Industries request. I hold my PhD in plant sciences. I'm the founding director of the Cheel Center for Biodiversity and Ecological Restoration at the University of California, Santa Barbara. In my capacity as director, my center was responsible for the protection, management, and restoration of over 350 acres of campus lands in sensitive marine habitats. I also serve as a member of the Lake Beulah Protective and Improvement Association, now known as Protect Lake Beulah. The area being proposed for rezoning to a C2 designation is of critical importance to the environmental health and preservation of this sensitive habitat at Lake Beulah. Quoting from the Wisconsin DNR website, sensitive areas of lakes are designated as critical habitat areas in Wisconsin. These areas comprise aquatic vegetation identified by the Wisconsin Department of Natural Resources as offering critical or unique fish or wildlife habitat, including seasonal or life stage requirements, or offering water quality or erosion control benefits to the body of water. Wisconsin law mandates special protections for these critical areas. Critical habitat designation is a program that recognizes those areas and maps them so that everyone knows which areas are most vulnerable to impacts from human activity. It is also important to note that the areas surrounding critical habitats are equally important, because if you develop in those areas surrounding critical habitats, such as parking lots, construction, it will impact the critical habitat. Therefore, it is crucial to protect the surrounding areas as well, so that you do not cause irreparable damage. It is also important to note that according to the Wisconsin DNR, there has never been a rezoning of a critical habitat in the state. To do so would set a dangerous precedent for Lake Beulah and the rest of the state of Wisconsin. The proposed site for rezoning is so important because the origin of the water flow to this site is Pickerel Creek, which probably all of you know. It is a diverse, high-quality sedge habitat, including very unique species. And this site is included in the Pickerel Lake Fin and the Natural Areas Plan, designated as a natural area of statewide importance. I encourage all of you to not accept this rezoning, which could ultimately damage
Thank you.
the property.
Hi, I'm Bob Nauta, Nauta, 4631 County Road A, Oregon, Wisconsin. I'm also addressing item K2 on the agenda. I'm an environmental scientist. I've studied Lake Beulah for over 20 years. Based on that experience, it's my professional opinion that the proposed zoning change and the development that it will permit will cause irreparable damage to fish and other wildlife habitats, to the diverse native plant community, and the overall health of the lake. The applicant has submitted a report from a company called Applied Ecological Services that you should have. This report references this report, which is the Lake Beulah Sensitive Area Assessment that the DNR wrote in 1994. They identified 8 sensitive areas on the lake, and this proposed development is in sensitive area number 7. The report says that it contains a native plant community, the DNR report says that, and quality spawning habitats for several species of fish, including northern pike, largemouth bass, bluegills, crappies, and perch. Dr. Tim Ellinger, former professor at the UW Milwaukee, has studied the lake longer than I have, and he says that in addition to that, they provide crucial cover for juvenile fish that protects them from predators so that they can become mature fish. If we remove some of this habitat, which is proposed, we'll have fewer fish hatching, and fewer of those fish are going to survive to adulthood. Also, as I indicated, it will impact the entire lake. The USGS has been sampling 3 locations on the lake since 2007. One of those locations is the inlet at Stringer's Bridge. On a regular basis, the water quality there is poor relative to the other 2 locations that they sample. And that's because of the sediment that's coming into the lake from Pickerel Lake. And it's also because The water's shallow there, so boats stir up the lake bed a bit more there. The DNR report states that the plant community in sensitive area 7 traps sediments and nutrients coming from Pickerel Lake, as well as protecting the shoreline from erosion. It also stabilizes the bottom sediments. These functions benefit the entire lake in that they reduce nutrients available in the water to support the growth of nuisance aquatic plants and to improve the clarity of the water. 1 minute, okay. Their expert report also notes that some plants can be removed mechanically. That's permissible. But the report also says that it's only for limited peers and educational purposes. I don't think that Marina meets either of those criteria. So I'm asking you to reject the proposed zoning change. Thank you.
Thank you, Bob.
Good afternoon. Pat Bergen, W1950 Pastime. Good evening, everybody. I'm the chair of the Lake Beulah Management District. I'm here to speak in opposition to West Broad Cottage Industries' proposed rezoning conditional use. As some of you know, we are a statutory lake district. The mission of the Lake District is to protect and improve Lake Beulah. I'm here because the proposed rezone will harm the lake. So there's really three issues here that I see. One is seeking to rezone the entire parcel. The second issue is approval of that parcel or a conditional use for that parcel. And the third issue is really the deficiencies in the application. And those that we've seen again tonight. And I would like to object to, if we're going to change the minutes, we like to have an opportunity to review the revised minutes and to take a look at those again in the future. And second, we've got some additional unnoticed documents here that we'd like to take a look at before there's a decision by the town board. So I'm going to defer to the experts. This is a really sensitive property. You've all heard that. There's really no debate about that. It fits exactly the definition of what C4 property is. C4 property is created to maintain safe and healthful conditions, to prevent water pollution, to protect fish spawning grounds and wildlife habitat. The primary purpose is to preserve, protect, and enhance the lakes, streams, and wetland areas in Walworth County in a manner that minimizes adverse impacts upon the lake. This property is it's the definition of that property. It's an area that serves as a very important buffer area to protect the water quality of Lake Beulah. It accomplishes all the purposes set forth in C4 zoning. You know what this property isn't? It's not C2. The primary purpose, and this is right in the zoning ordinance, of C2 is preserve, protect, and enhance and restore all significant woodlands, related scenic areas, and submarginal farmlands. This property isn't any of those types of properties. It just isn't. It's a tiny little lot.
It has a single family dwelling that was previously in the property.
No comments.
Can't comment during, let him finish.
It isn't a significant woodland. It's not a related scenic property or a submarginal farmland, and it isn't the minimum of 5 acres that's required. Even more to the point, applicant's done nothing whatsoever to show that he's identified a way in which this would preserve, protect, enhance, or restore the property. To the contrary, he wants a parking lot and a commercial marina. He says it's consistent with neighboring parcels. It isn't. The parcel across the lake, C4 property. The parcel next to it, C4 property. Both cases, the key areas, this is shoreland and wetland property, okay? The second issue really here is that there's a high burden to rezone, okay? A wetland, and this is per the statute, section 74-260 of the Walworth zoning code. A C4 district shall not be rezoned if a proposed rezoning may result in a significant adverse impact on any of the following. There's a very long list of items here. Some of those things we've just heard from the more learned experts. 1, filtering or storage of sediments. 2, shoreline protection against soil erosion. 3, fish spawning, breeding, nursery, or feeding grounds, and wildlife habitat.
30 seconds.
A marina with 10 slips is going to ruin this habitat. It covers up area, prevents wildlife growth, it prevents fish spawning. Boats in this area are going to be sitting on the bottom. This area is extremely shallow. It's not deep enough for boats. It's not an acceptable commercial. What he wants is a commercial marina. That is not, there's certain limited accepted commercial items for a commercial marina. I'd like to just continue if I'm out of time. If this board votes to accept a conditional use, I've prepared a set of written conditional use.
To approve conditional time.
Can't discuss this because you are out of time. Do you want to discuss this? The
I
board would have to vote to approve additional time.
would be happy to discuss this if the board is willing to approve additional time.
I'd approve additional time.
Okay, you making a motion then?
Motion to
Okay, I'll second
approve
it.
additional time.
Discussion? Okay, 3 minutes?
3 minutes, I'll be quick.
3? Okay, on the motion, all in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Aye, opposed?
Are you gonna hand that out to all of us?
Yeah, I'd be happy to.
He's got, I thought he was doing.
I'm sorry, who was the second?
Joe.
I second it.
Paderewski. Joe Jackson, Joe Paderewski.
Okay, start 3
So
minutes.
if you're going to approve the conditional use, and I would submit that you should not approve, or you should not approve the zoning change. If you're going to approve the zoning change and we're considering a conditional use, I would respectfully suggest that you impose at least the following conditions. Recognition of the environmental sensitivity. Recognition that there's really only about 130 feet of frontage per Town of East Troy ordinance. Only 4 slips should be available. Maximum of 3 personal passenger vehicles with no parking on Stringers Bridge Road. That's just too dangerous. No commercial vehicles or construction equipment on the property at any time. No signage. Needs to remove the existing driveway that falls within 75 feet of the shore yard setback. Sorry about that. Trying to hit the highlights here so I don't blow my time limit. This is a highly developed shoreline area, at least by designation. That permits a maximum impervious surface area of 5,361 feet. That's 30% of the land area that's not wetlands. Prefer that no boats be launched into the water from the property, no boats be removed from the property, that hours of operation be limited from 9 to 6. That is, boats may not be rented before 9 a.m. or returned after 6 p.m. No fuel sales, no live music, loud music, or other disturbances, no camping, and compliance with all state and other county ordinances. Again, just to summarize, we don't think that this application meets the criteria for a change from C4 to C2. If you are going to change it from C4 to C2, we believe that it is not an appropriate conditional use by statute because it's a commercial marina, and commercial marinas are not permitted by statute, and the commercial uses are outlined. There's only 3 of them actually in the statute. One is a greenhouse, and the other is a stable. But if you are going to allow the conditional use, we submit that these conditions are reasonable and would promote the health of the lake.
Okay.
Thank you very much for your time and for your extra time.
Thank you. Robert Miller? Glenn? Robert?
Hello, my name is Bob Miller, M9124 Humphrey Lane. I'm a 48-year resident, full-time resident of Lake Beulah. I am a past chairman of this board for many years. I left the board about 15 years ago. Prior to my leaving, I was involved with what has now become a parking area on Stringers Bridge across from Fred's Tap. The parking area was contested then from the standpoint that early one morning, by early I mean 1 to 2 o'clock in the morning, I received a phone call from several concerned neighbors on New Deal Avenue and asked what was going on over there with the excavation equipment that was being used and why, what. I drove over with my wife and I met with John. And John had highway lights, I'll call them, set up to illuminate the area where he was digging, putting it on in a dump truck and hauling it away. And the discussion initially was, what are you doing, John? Well, I'm getting some fill for a friend, okay? I said, do you have a permit? He says, I have a permit. I said, show it to me. It's supposed to be posted. Well, I can't.
Disorderly conduct, one more time. If you want to talk more, I think you had 30 seconds left.
He told me he did not have the permit with him. I asked him to stop. I have no authority to make him stop. I asked him to do that. He didn't. In the morning, I called the zoning officer, Deborah Gruby, at Walworth County. And I asked her specifically, do you have a permit for excavation on Stringer's Bridge Road? And she said no, but she knew who had come in to ask her about a permit. She told me that no permit had been issued and that John knew, or I can't say what he knew or he didn't know, but she told me that anything more than 4 cubic yards of excavation required a county permit. The excavation continued. We set up several meetings. Debbie Gruby came out, county sheriff came out, our police chief came out and said specifically, this is not a good area for a parking area, to cease and desist. He didn't. My estimate of excavation, probably 400 cubic yards, maybe more than that, were removed. To resolve it, John, who said at that point, I was going to build a residence on, I don't know what to call it. It was a falling down building that at some time in its life was a cottage. I can tell you, going back 48 years that I've lived here, it would never have been habitable. It was removed. I believe the building inspector said it was a nuisance and was removed. John could tell you 5 years ago, 10 years ago, whatever it is, it's gone. We then came to a settlement with John that he was pleading not to make restoration because that's where this was going to go. He wanted it for his house. He needed to park some cars there. So he was told he could park a car.
Okay.
And he agreed. Could I have just another minute, 2 minutes?
All right, I'll make a motion to grant 1 more minute to Robert Miller. Do we have a second? Anybody?
He wanted to, can I?
No, nobody
I don't
second?
see the relevance.
I'll finish quick.
Relevance, this is the site, this is the property.
Right.
All right, your time's up. They don't want to give you more time, so your point is there, that hillside was cut out without permit. So,
Okay.
Okay, John Becker, W, 1958, Pastime Lane. I believe the planning commission's decision here was the correct one. After all, it's taken a long time to get to this position. They had 3 different sessions on the meeting, on the subject, and they did a lot of research on it and came to the conclusion that it should remain C4. I certainly subscribe to that. In addition, they had legal counsel also involved in it. The area is a sensitive area. We've heard that many times, but that's very important because it's very shallow and it must be preserved. I think the last thing you want in a area like that is a business. In fact, the requirements are no businesses in a sensitive area. And that's exactly what this would be. Marina would be a business. And it'd have to be rezoned to C2, but the minimum acreage on C2 is 5 acres. That's by county code. There are some exceptions, but they're very minor. As a background to the sensitive area, there have been 2 rulings lately. One was on, it's a little road, and it is associated with dredging there. The DNR wanted to dredge in a sensitive area. After an examination, after pushback from a number of people, including the management district, which I'm a member of, they decided to not dredge, but put in a standard pier instead. And because it was a sensitive area. Same thing happened with the flow of water from, proposed flow of water from Booth Lake down the question area there, right by Fred's Tap. That was reversed, and they decided not to do that. Again, because of the sensitive areas. I think there's a, excuse me a second. The property with John running it has almost a terrible history here. John misled the town and the county by saying he was not running a marina on the property, when indeed he was. And I believe he is now. He does rent boats there. And this is counter to what he had told the town and the county. And this is certainly very much against what we're talking about here. In fact, it wasn't that long ago. I believe it was in 2012. The county came in and John was fined for running a marina on the property. About 2 years later, he appealed that decision, and that appeal was not granted. And indeed, he was fined. I believe the fine was about $600. And again, the town came in and assessed John a fine for having a lack of protection on the property. This is a silt fence. He did not have it in place. And again, stuff would go into the lake there. I believe that was the town. He was fined about $300. So based on the decision made by the planning commission, based on the fact that this is sensitive property, based on the fact that the owner wasn't truthful about the operation of the situation, I believe that the town should adhere to the planning commission's decision and not grant the rezone. Thank you.
Thank you, John.
3 seconds left, John.
3 seconds.
Say that to the end, I'll get it.
All right, public comments. Come on up, Mr. Jones.
N9033 East Miramar Drive. I got 5 items. I'm going to try and slam through them because I only got 4 minutes. I'm not getting 15. Kim, I was going through the finances and the first quarter seems to make sense, but I couldn't get past the revenue on the second quarter. So I'm not going to talk about it, but we're off by 570 on revenue. And in anything I've ever done, revenue goes up. It never goes down as the year progresses. So just please take a look and see what's going on. Second item.
Can you call me?
I can do that. I can even share this. I think I've spoken before on double D's, and I even made a comment comparing that to the yacht club just a little while ago. This whole thing with whatever it is, Cottage Rod Industries, whatever. It just seems like there's people that are in the club and there's people that aren't in the club. And it seems like if you're in the club, you get things approved. And if you're not in the club, you don't get them approved. If everybody is so interested in protecting the environment, they can just move all out of their houses and they can let it go back to nature. I mean, I understand where, that we want to try and protect. I've also heard And I did a letter of support. My wife did too. And he's got great standing in renting boats. He's a good steward of the lake. He's picking up trash. He's educating people. Seems like someone we'd want to have doing this. We've lost Lindy's, we've lost Double D's. I just don't know why we'd want to limit this person from making a living. Special events. That's a strange document. At first, it says it's only town of East Troy property, but then later it starts talking about the person's requirements to explain who they are and the property that's being used and all that stuff. Well, that's inconsistent. So I just think that document needs to be cleaned up. And I think that might be why you put it in there. The 150 limit for what is that? Large crowds or whatever. That's the second one, 5.1 or something. That seems semi-reasonable. You can have an easy family outing at your house for 30 to 60 or whatever people. That seems reasonable. 150 is a larger size, but then I'd like to know how that's going to be addressed for farmers who have plenty of land to deal with something like that. I know farmers get into, they hold, what, 1 minute? They hold educational things at farmers, so they can get to be quite large. Not sure if that's going to be covered in that, but it probably should. The last thing I took while we were in the meeting is there was a comment made that the 6/5/24 meeting minutes from Planning Commission were approved by the board. I will debate that because I just went through the only minutes that are on the town, which is June 10th, and they're not in that packet. And I went into the other packets and I don't see 6/5 in any of them. So I don't think the 6/5 Planning Commission minutes were approved by this board. So just please look into that. That didn't make sense to me. That's all I have. 4 minutes.
10 seconds left.
Keeping us honest.
Great, sure.
Thank you, Joe.
Jeff Steinig, W1969 in Soto Road. Just to clarify, I was on the planning commission for the Staus property. And I just want everyone to hear from me as one of the commissioners. It was well studied. We unearthed every rock, every stone. And what it really boils down to is if it's C4, it is C4. That is the highest level of protection on this lake. And for a single property or owner to disrupt, in the end, what would be a disastrous presentation to the lake would just be completely unfounded. So when you hear that, it was just a rough shot decision, it was a very thoughtful, very studied decision. C4 is C4 and it should never be changed. I view that area as, and you heard it's the inlet. In my mind, I envision a bottle of wine. The wide end of the bottle is the inlet coming in. And you have fast water coming in with, you name it, weeds, silt, you name it, fish, everything. If that gets cleared out on the west side, which is where John wants to put the marina, that is equivalent to uncorking the bottle of wine. And you have speed picking up, which means all of that silt and everything is going to spill deeper and deeper into the lake, causing a huge disruption. So it is a disaster waiting to happen. And C4 should always remain C4 as the highest protection on the lake. The other point I want to make, because I hear it over and over, is he's just trying to make a living. Well, at the commission meeting, he can make a living. He has Fred's Tap. All he has to do is follow the rules and regulations and open Fred's Tap. So he can make a living. Well, if you had legal parking, you probably could have parking. I'm talking. So that was my other point, because we keep hearing over and over, the guy's just trying to make a living. He can make a living. Open Fred's Tap. Just follow the rules and regulations. Thank you.
Thank you.
I have 3 minutes left, don't I?
Yeah, I would say about 3.
I just want to say
Come up,
that,
please.
you come up here and you accuse and call us liars, and that ticket had nothing to do with lying. So get your facts straight. I don't like me calling a liar. We did not get that ticket
Address the
for
board,
lying.
please, address the
We
board.
did not get that ticket for lying. Okay, so get the facts straight. And then I'd like to know also, what about the other 7 sensitive areas? Okay? Third, we've been there 20 years and have 9 to 10 boats there. Where's your proof that there was damage in the last 20 years from our 9 to 10 boats there? Are you gonna stop the other 100 coming down from New Deal going through there?
Address the board, please.
Well, okay, I'm just saying,
can
are
hear
you
you.
gonna stop the other 100 boats coming down from New Deal Road, bringing all this sediment? And we have 9 boats sitting there for 20 years, and they have all this data. However, nothing's showing that in 20 years that our 9 boats damaged the lake. Thank you.
Linda Zerner, N8784 Stringers Bridge Road. I'm a neighbor of Fred's Tap. My biggest concern, I was a former guardian of the property before Stas purchased it. My biggest concern of it all is the traffic with the cars pulling out at the bottom of the hill, children crossing the street without a parent to go to the barn to go potty. I almost had 2 little boys run into me, literally, from the gate. The parents were sitting on a pontoon boat. Now, I'm quite aware that the septic at the bar is bad. It would need a holding tank before they could open. That's a guarantee. But the safety of the road is the biggest issue here. The water safety, yes, is a big thing, but the road is such a hazard. I'm like, someone is seriously going to get hurt. And I, living so close, I travel the road all the time. It's scary. I slow way down. I might get a face in my car window. Sometimes they whip me the bird. I'm going slow because I don't know what's going to come out. One day, John had a very large tractor, something or another, parked alongside the road, and a car was clipping over the hill. They almost crashed into me because I had to go over the center line to go around him. It is a very dangerous area for too much to be going on. Thank you.
Thank you, Linda.
Joel, can I use my other 30 seconds I have left?
Yeah, that's right, it's 30, right? I remember.
Yes.
Yes, you do.
Or we did have all that time ahead of time.
You need my address again?
No.
I'm going to address the board. I would like to thank all my haters that came out tonight to pontificate and to say things that weren't true. If you really want a true depiction of who I am, go on Google and look at the reviews that total strangers leave me, because there you're going to get a true reflection of who I am. If you listen to the Haters Club, you're going to think I stole Christmas. Thank you.
You did it in 20 seconds.
Not bad.
Come on up.
I guess I'll make it. My name is Scott Cornell, W2415 New Deal Avenue. Nobody loves me down there except for my wife, and that's okay. This here is some information, my friends that lived in Milwaukee that had to do with Staus. A lot of you know the situation where he did a lot of bad stuff at night, moved a lot of dirt out, had no permits, the same thing he's doing down there. They don't have 9 or 10 boats, so she just said that we lied. We don't lie, or I don't lie. He did not have a permit at the time. It was an after-the-fact permit. I had the same situation. Just down there on New Deal Avenue. There's not 100 boats coming down there. You can go down there and count. There might be 100. And I got a solution. We can set up cameras. I'm willing to put up $500 of my money. I've got a few neighbors down there on New Deal, Stringers Bridge, Bayview Road. I can work with maybe the girls' camp. We can set up some cameras down there because we're being monitored down. And that way we can find out when the barge hit the bridge, what it did when it got loose. My wife and I talked to you, Mr. Staus, and you never said it was gonna happen again, and it didn't.
Address the board.
But after Connecticut, you can have 100,000 year storm, and that barge could come loose and hit that bridge again. You and I looked eye to eye when that happened. Yes, you did. You said it never happened again. My wife was in the boat.
Scott,
Get-
Scott,
the barge was-
Scott, address the board.
I'm sorry. I get carried away when he does it too. So I'm gonna put up $500 for cameras. I've got a few neighbors that are gonna back me up with this. And we can monitor the road. We can also do it in here, what he did in Milwaukee, get the Department of Bridge Transportation Standards and find out what's going on. They'll be able to even find a good, safe bridge. Got a lot of salt coming down, and maybe we can do some situations to solve that area too. That's about all I got. All right. Thank you.
Thank you, Scott.
Ready? Okay, great. My name's Bill Wooker, Wucherer. I live at West 1210 Wolf Way. Been a town resident for 29 years. And I'd request that the town board sustain the Planning Commission's recommendation to deny the zoning application on tonight's agenda, number 8K2. I attended all 3 Planning Commission meetings, which resulted in this recommendation to deny Mr. Staus's request. I was impressed by how well the meetings were run, the discussion, the presentations, the question and answers. More than 3 hours elapsed during these meetings, which resulted in a 6-1 vote to deny the applicant's zoning request. You know this. All the commissioners except Supervisor Johnner voted to preserve and conserve an E4 property. Frankly, I found Supervisor Johnner's vote troubling. And I'm suggesting that I am not suggesting that Supervisor Johnner had any financial conflict of interest on this agenda item. I do, however, believe that Supervisor Johnner should have recused himself from voting at the July 17th Planning Commission meeting, as he should also recuse himself of any vote this evening. If Supervisor Johnner does not recuse himself, I believe that he should minimally disclose the campaign contributions from Mr. Strauss that he received during his spring supervisory election. Supervisor Johnner campaigned on transparency and open government, but he has failed to disclose contributions or to amend Wisconsin finance campaign documents as are required by state law. To improve transparency, to promote honesty, I have submitted a complaint to the Wisconsin Ethics Committee against Mr. Joseph Johnner, wherein I asked the Wisconsin Ethics Commission to investigate campaign contributions received from Mr. Strauss, which Mr. Johnner did not record and did not report as required by law. Until the Wisconsin Ethics Commission can complete its review of my complaint and render a decision about the allegations, I request that Mr. Johnner recuse himself from voting on any agenda item related to rezoning this property in question and the application of Mr. Strauss, which currently rests before this governing board. Thank you.
Thank you. Just to put information on that, so everybody's wondering about recusals, the only person that can recuse himself is the person himself. The board can't vote or nobody can ask or require it. That's his decision. So, all right, next. Randy Bond.
Bernard Long, N8634 Centers Bridge Road. Well, as far as going back many years when that dirt was removed from Fred's Tap down there, that dirt went up to 8590 Stringers Bridge Road, next to my property. Permits were ever issued for that dirt to be put there, and possibly over 400, 500 yards, who knows? Say nothing about that. I've been a resident of the East Troy area since 1945. Everything that's happening down here since the county told it that it wouldn't rezone it years ago has been going on. Boats been rented, stuff been brought down the road, commercial stuff stored there. commercial boats used out of there, people going across the property, C4, which you're not supposed to go onto the boats, pontoon boats, renting them, etc. What I've done is I've got a few pictures of stuff. Pass them around. I only made one copy of the stuff going down the road, or those pontoon boats were launched down there at Fred's Tap on the east side of the road. Cars are parked there every weekend on the east side of the road, which is no parking as far as county is concerned. County doesn't enforce anything. It's a hazard of all these big machinery parking down there or going up and down the road with machinery on it, coming up the hill by me. If you got two bicycles in the southbound lane and somebody's trying to pass them and you run into the pontoon boat or the forks from a forklift, who's responsible? I mean, it's a bad case scenario. And the same thing with the stuff down there. All the boats that are stored there, when they're not stored there, they're up at 8590 Stringers Bridge Road, where maintenance is done on them. They're stored there, prepared for winter, prepared for summer. There are 4 or 5 pontoon boats there now. Right now, one is being repaired right in the driveway. I mean, you have everything that's there, and the attitude of the owners, there's a real attitude there for anything. You talk about good, how everybody likes them. I mean, you could take a look at what we go through, and if the board wants to hear some of the comments, I can bring them in. I don't have them with me. It takes time, but whatever. I don't want this rezoned. I don't think it should be. They're doing it now, and county does nothing to fine them or stop them. And the town doesn't either as far as stopping anything going up and down the road or launching the pontoon boats on the property. So I don't think a rezone should be allowed. And I think somebody should do something about enforcing the laws, county, town, whatever. Thank you.
Thank you, Bernie. Anyone else? Should we exhaust it? Think we're good? What's that? You're gonna defer to Ken? All right. We have all sorts of letters that were in the packet. There was another one that was delivered to Jess, and it's in the packet, or it was handed out here. It was for the board members. I'm gonna read it into the record. It says, I do not understand how this request for a conditional use permit is coming before the town board. The property does not have the required amount of frontage and is located in a C4 area. These are facts that can't be twisted around and make something fit. As far as I know, this request was denied by a judge years ago, so how can it now be coming up again for the same review? The health of this natural resource is something that the town and county need to take seriously. Damage to ecosystem of the lake cannot be undone. Once it is ruined, and then no one will enjoy it, and it will not be there for the generations to come. It will become murky, the fish would suffer, the tax base would reflect this, and it would become not at all like the lake we are currently entrusted to care for. This is no small consequence. When you change delicate areas of the lake, there is a ripple effect that will change the entirety of the lake and the community. You have heard all the expert testimony as to the harm that would be done by this type of project. To ignore that information and to push through someone's personal agenda is an affront to the office that each board member holds. Each of you is entrusted with a natural resource that just isn't found everywhere, and to make good decisions that would keep that resource in its present state of good health. It is time that the board take responsibility for the welfare and health of the lake above personal interest groups. So that's right in the record. They'll be there with all the other letters. So, okay.
Is there a requirement to put your name on that letter?
I have a name, and the person held their name from being in the record. Me and Jesse know who it is. And that person fears retribution, and I respect their decision. They signed it, but they're not do not want their name publicized on this situation. But, you're right. No more public comments. I believe we're done. Okay, moving on. Chairperson's report. It's in the packet. I did want to highlight just one thing on it. Unfortunately, I got too many numbers here. Number 8A. All right, sorry for the delay. I had meetings with town residents like I normally do, town development issues. I did attend the Walworth County special meeting on the radio towers communication system, countywide emergency communication system, and the chief will update us on that. Troy Executive Committee meeting was on the 16th of July. It's more discussion on where we are with the trail planning grant, and no meetings yet with the DOT. We did have a presentation by Ehlers. We did a financial analysis on the possibility of, at least a financial part of it, but the possibility of town of Troy merging with AESD. And then other community challenges, and this community does have some challenges. Anything from truancy to amenities for the aging, just a wealth of issues that we kick around to see if we can do something as a combined board. Also on August 2nd and 3rd, I attended the Towns Association Council meeting, annual meeting in Stevens Point. All county unit chairs provided input to the board of directors for their strategic planning process. And we approved their 2025 budget. And then also typical month, 15 or so calls from residents, general town issues, signed contracts, agreements, and checks. So that's all I have on my report. Barb, anything to add on your report? Your report is in the packet. Okay. Public relations. The report's in there. Self-explanatory. You have to go over that. Department of Public Works, Mr. Shield.
Everybody got my rather long report again this year, this month. Mother Nature has not been our friend this spring, early summer. Any questions? Matters to approve.
No, but thank you from Beach Road throughout the tree work we've been doing.
Any update on road cutting, roadside cutting?
We're doing it now.
Okay.
Yeah.
All right, the first item that actually have listed here is the review and approve the letter Attorney Mills drafted and he handed it out to us. This is for the 4 properties, right, on South Shore?
Yes. There's 4 houses down at the lower end of South Shore that have been, 3 of them been torn down, completely rebuilt. 1 had an extensive remodel done to it. That road never was intended for that much heavy truck traffic and just destroyed pretty much half of that from Humphrey Lane in. Slated on our roadwork schedule to get redone this year, partly because of that, but also because it was just, it was time. I had talked with the 4 contractors, stated that this is going to be addressed with the homeowners, that somehow, some way, shape, or form, they're going to pay for part of the repair. So I had, in our road bid, broke it down with Wolf. They had broken it down. We had figured out their part of the repair is 984 feet. Comes to cost of like $30.62 per foot for a total of $30,130 to get split up between them 4 households. I talked to Mr. Mills, I talked to our building inspector, talked with the contractors, and they all kind of seemed to agree that we just had to figure out a way to do it. So talked with Mr. Mills, and he was kind of trying to figure out a way to get some type of letter to them. We did this once more on road damage repair on Bell School Road, similar to that, still damaged.
Okay, all right, so we have the letter, Attorney Mills created it. The numbers are all there, it's pretty easy math. It also lists the town code on highway damage on the basis on why it's due. And then it also gives telephone number for you in case they have more questions. I think this is a pretty straightforward deal. This is very similar to the previous letters that we had for this situation. By law, if you do damage to the roads, it shouldn't be spread over the whole town. The people who damage the roads are responsible for paying for it. So, anybody have any questions on Mr. Mills' letter?
I do. So I think the last one, we allowed the homeowner to complete the repairs, meeting our specifications and requirements. That took a long time, right?
Yeah,
They had to do it twice.
That was a fight. They had to do it twice. A typical homeowner, this is way beyond anything, any scope of practice. That
But I
anyone
guess
could do.
I'm concerned that our total cost is 80,000, but we're only, they're only responsible for, so we had to do the whole road?
We're doing part from Humphrey Lane to the end. We were scheduled to do anyways. Where the road is most severely damaged, it's real low land, it's real narrow, trucks cutting the corner. And to make them pay for the entire road, not entirely fair.
Yeah, and I believe too, if they would try to contract for that separately, they wouldn't get the advantage of having, the contractor that's doing the whole road. And then you'd have to worry about standards either because you have to meet our standards. So I think it's a good deal.
Yes.
How do we collect the money from them, or what's the timeline for this?
I had talked to Kim also on this. I mean, per the contractors, they're like, it's not our responsibility, it's homeowner's responsibility. Yes, it is. Hopefully they would just say, okay. I mean, one of the contractors I talked to, the homeowner said, yeah, no problem, whatever it costs to pay. These are multi-million dollar houses that were put up for asking for $7,500. I don't think is going to be a whole lot.
Yeah.
Otherwise, I believe it can go back on their taxes.
Yeah, if it's not paid, it'll be our decision whether it's, you give them, till the end of this year or until taxes are prepared, or if we defer it, I prefer that we didn't defer it because then you're automatically going to be waiting another year for the money.
Yeah.
So I would think it should be paid before tax bills go out, because otherwise it's going on as a special assessment.
They would have to, I would have to definitely know for sure by mid-November if we're gonna put the charge on the tax bill.
Okay.
So they should
call it
give
November
like,
1st.
Yeah, probably have to
What
put
do
a
you think
date.
last time we did more than one letter?
That's because their first fix was ridiculous.
But even the first fix took a long time, right?
Yeah, it was a fight to even get it fixed the first time.
Yeah.
Yeah, because the property owner in that case had contractors he worked with before for that type of work. That's not the case here. But that was, they took the cheaper out the first time and it was terrible. So it's holding up.
Yeah, they repair, they guaranteed it for a year, and all snow plowing season with underbody scrapers, it never peeled it up. But this is way more extensive than just a little bit of marks in the road. This is, road's gone.
Okay, Attorney Mills?
Yeah, I want to, I spoke to Todd about this, and I need to speak to the building instructor as well. There are two places in the town code that states that when you are going to be needing a construction permit, you're supposed to be signing a reimbursement agreement to the town for any damages that you are causing to a road. So My memo last year when we dealt with this is, if this is not what's happening, it needs to start happening. And I don't believe that it happened with these 4 properties, although I understand it's been between 1 or 2 years that some of these rebuilds have happened. So moving forward, I'll talk to Vince again. All these people should have had a road repair agreement signed.
Yeah, and Vince has never made mention it to me that this type of agreement has ever been signed. So it'd be nice to know on our part.
Right, but.
Do you have a copy of that road agreement?
I have the 2 code sections.
The other part of this is listing the town code. The state statute just says that you damage it, you're responsible, period. There's no notice or there's nothing on that one at all. We reference this because we probably, I don't know if this code adopts the state statute that talks about road damage, but either way, there's no question on the liability here. This is not a question. The question is is this correct? And do we agree with the letter? That's our action item is, are we going to approve this letter?
Well, I can add to the letter the road statute that you're referring to. So we have both the statutory reference and the town code
That would be
reference.
helpful, yes. So that will be added to this, but we need to approve the letter. So need a motion to approve this letter with the one change in the state statute reference.
I'll make a motion to approve the letter from Attorney Mills to the 4 homeowners on South Shore with the addition of the road statute as well.
State second. Okay, Michelle, second. Right? All right, discussion, questions? On the motion, all in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Aye, opposed? None, motion carries. So I'll sign that when that one comes in.
Okay,
Oh, actually, this one here, I don't sign. You sign,
I need to modify it.
okay, but I don't have.
No, you don't sign anything. I send it.
Got it. Okay. All right, other items on your
Yep,
list here?
second thing, we have a little bit of ARPA funds left. The new police garage floor, I come to find out once it gets wet, when they finished it, they really finished it pretty fine. It gets pretty slippery. So before somebody has a slip and fall injury, if we could use some of that money to do a coating on it similar to like we did in the front steps.
And I think it's not only that, you want to keep the chlorides out of that concrete because they will spoil eventually. And those cars will be bringing salt in there, so.
Yeah.
Protect the
Salt,
two. Do you,
potential oil leaks and all that.
yeah, did you get prices yet?
I had talked to just one person, and it was like 6,000. It wasn't the same. It was a different company that did the front steps because I have a little in on a company that'll do it for a lot cheaper.
I know that too.
Okay,
Yeah.
so you'll have two,
I'll get a couple estimates.
couple estimates next month. We'll put that on the agenda then?
Yeah.
Okay, and there'll be a request to use ARPA funds on that. We'll have a definitive number on that too, but I'm sure that will not be a problem. So, all right, and
It's been brought up a couple times, the Beulah Heights Road culvert going underneath. I got an email from, I don't remember the gentleman, with some sketchy pictures, so I physically went down and took a boat ride and looked at it. It's to the point now of almost during emergency repair. There's a big chunk that fell out of, it'd be the north side of it.
That's on the agenda.
Yeah, but I've been looking at all of them, and that's a big one. Chad Wales, he's brought it up at one of the
Yeah,
meetings too.
we've been talking about it for at least a year and a half.
Yeah,
All the culverts.
last year I had gotten an estimate from a couple of them. One was 15,000, one was 30,000.
Okay.
I have contacted numerous people to see if they'll even come out and do it. That's kind of like a specialty thing. And actually, I had one call me back tonight. I got to meet with them on Wednesday. Cost wise, I don't know what it's going to be. Luckily, one of our part-time snowplowers will let us use a barge to help whatever company we can find or whoever to repair it. But this, I mean, it's coming along the lines. This year we did the culvert or not, no, with the state doing inspections on
The small,
the
6 to
small
20 foot.
span bridges between 6 and 20 feet. Yeah, they did an inventory. They're supposed to do an inspection next year. Hopefully somewhere down the line, we get some state funding for this, but this one's probably gonna come out of our pocket sooner than later.
Right, and we looked at, I mean, you were down there, what, 2 months ago,
Mhm.
probably? And it'll be a little bit more than tuck pointing.
Yeah.
We did tuck point two of the other bridges on Bell
Honey
School Road.
Creek. Honey
We
Creek
did.
years ago.
Yeah, we did Bell School Road, we've done Carver School Road, some
Carver School
patching,
Road.
we did Town
Town
Line Road,
Line,
some
Honey
patching.
Creek, yeah.
Town line cleaning the channel too, so.
And Bell School Road by down towards the Henning Field.
Yes, that
I think,
was-
because all these structures, I'm guessing they're done the same way, they're just concrete with stone. It's,
Probably 100 years old.
Yeah. probably, but,
September.
yeah, this one's gonna need some
You'll have estimates.
major work, yeah, hopefully I can get some estimates here, but I've
For that
talked
too.
to a handful of companies, they're like, no, that's beyond our scope of work.
Okay, all right, and the last item, as a result of our interview at closed session before this meeting, approved new full-time hire to start September 1st, 2024. Dave DeGrave is retiring.
Yep, we've had, he is retiring after 20 years, sometime mid to late November. We had a chance to meet with a new person tonight, so it'd be nice to bring him on. Seemed like it'd be a good fit.
I believe the applicant said September 3rd.
Third,
The holiday.
After Labor Day.
I was looking for the
So the contract
name, I
starts
jotted
on
down.
the 3rd.
It's Rick
Rick
something.
Rick Usler.
Rick Usler, yeah.
Okay. All right, so,
Do we have to use his name when we?
yes, yes, go ahead, make a motion.
I make a motion that we hire Rick Usler to the Town of East Troy DPW
Second.
in a full-time position starting September 3rd. I don't know if I need to put that in.
Yeah, that's good, yes. Okay, I heard a second.
Yeah, right.
Joe? Okay, discussion? Hearing none, all in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed?
What about the terms?
Okay.
Subject to a contract that,
I will draft the contract. I'll send it to Jim
And
and
then
then
we'll
we'll be good.
Well, okay. On the motion, all in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Aye, opposed, none, motion carries. As far as the terms and whatever, we already had that discussion in closed session. Do you guys want to see that before we proceed?
I don't.
You know the number?
Assuming it'll be the same as.
It's gonna be the same as Dave's and Jeff's,
Yeah.
except different terms.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay, we're good then. Okay. All right, anything else? That's enough? Good job though on the playground.
Yes, thank you.
Okay, Chief Gurecki.
All right, first item up. The missing train has been returned
Yay.
and put back into its spot. Just want to give a shout out to our Facebook friends who applied enough pressure that CBS 58 out of Milwaukee came out and did a nice little piece on it. Then they shared that little piece with CBS Green Bay, Appleton area.
The other way around.
Um,
I think it was with Green Bay.
I'm not sure. It was in both locations. Either way, I'm giving props to CBS 58. I think the external pressure that they put on made the offending party drop it off in front of our DPW building, and DPW was able to reinstall it. So that was really good. Glad that happened. Next, the County Radio Project met with Captain Newman and the people from GenCom. I believe it was late last month in July, just to give us an update. I believe from my understanding, all the radio towers are installed. However, all of the base building and hardware that is needed to operate the radio system is not installed yet. So there's still quite a bit of work to be done. Using their layout model, they're expecting all that work to be done by early spring, March, April of 2025, with probably us not going what I would call live on the new total digital system until probably early fall of 2025. Some of that is, I guess you can place blame all around from the top down, from manufacturers to installers to timelines, aggressive timelines. Long and short of it, I think probably by early summer, they'll be doing testing, which that's the super important part of the radio project, is that it get properly vetted and tested before it goes live. The last thing we want to have are dead zones for our police, fire, and EMS, that they're not able to communicate with the people that they need to communicate with to get the help that they need. So that part of it is super important. And what I envision, as Captain Newman explained, is that we're probably going to be on kind of a hybrid radio system. Some of us will be switching over to the digital. Some of us will still be on the analog, but that system can run both systems. So the new towers are going to be used and merge those. So we're not going to notice the difference when you're talking and transmitting. You may notice a difference because it sounds different. If you've ever heard digital radio, it sounds kind of robotic, but it's a more crystal clear sound. So like I said, no, there's no blame to necessarily one person or one entity, but it is quite a project that's going on. And I know timelines, we're hoping that this fall they'd be up and running, but I just don't. I think if you'd asked me, or if we revisit minutes from when I first got hired in 2022, I believe that we were probably looking at 2025 in my honest opinion, just because of what's going on in the world in manufacturing and structures and all that kind of stuff. So I think they're on a decent timeline. As long as we don't have any more hiccups, we should be good to go. With that being said, excuse me, we have received our squad radios. Those radios are installed in the squad and we're currently using them on the analog system. However, I have not accepted delivery of the portable radios. The reason for this is once I accept delivery of the portable radios, the warranty starts. Squad radios, they don't see the same wear and tear that portable radios worn on a hip do. So they don't get banged around. They don't get slammed in the walls. They don't see weather. The worst thing that can happen is somebody drips barbecue sauce from Culver's on it, or God forbid, a bottle of water tips over. But those are very rare instances. So I wasn't too worried about the warranty starting on the squad radios as much as I was about the portable radios. So once we accept delivery of those, then that's when the warranty starts, and we're just going to delay that as long as possible. And again, no fault of GenCom's, but you have 16 law enforcement agencies in the county, not including the sheriff's office, and everybody has 7 to 10 employees. So 16 times 10 times programming those portable radios with very specific channels in a very specific order takes time. So, you know, I'm not too worried about. I've seen our radios; they're there, they exist, so we're all good on that end. Are there any questions about the communications meeting from last month?
Thank you. And thanks for thinking of that warranty too.
And they reiterated that at that meeting too. So just to let us all know. Put the CAD summary report in everybody's mailbox. That's on the board so far through the end of July, we had 6,363 calls, or 1.2 calls for service per hour. And again, we are not a high crime area. Our officers stay busy by doing house checks, business checks, park checks. That includes traffic stops, felony and misdemeanor arrests. Traffic citations, there was 647 for the year. Boating citations, we have 6 citations. This is through the end of July. After this last weekend, there's a few more. And 2 warnings, which counts towards our patrol hours. 98 ordinance citations, 35 crash reports. So we're doing pretty well as far as our numbers go for the year. Quite a few traffic grants have been out, and the officers are working those. So, and then I saw later on in the agenda is some items for County L and Stone School Road, and we can discuss those at that time. So,
Right.
I'm a little surprised at this, road and ordinance citations, like if I take it, that's like 80 road citations a month? Is that, right?
I'm sorry, I guess
So
I'm not-
647 divided by 8 months,
7 months.
7 months.
Mm-hmm.
That still seems like that's almost 100 a month.
Yeah, and we're a
Divided
7,
by 30 days.
and we're a 7-man agency. We're not very big, so those guys are out there working their butts off.
That's like almost 1 per shift.
Yes. Yeah, averaging about 3 citations a day.
And the ordinance citations, that's more than 10 a month. I'm
Yeah.
surprised how high. Thank you.
No, not a problem.
All right.
Anything else?
More questions? Okay, thank
All
you.
right, thanks.
All right, East Shore Area Emergency Service District report.
I do have a report in the packet, but I want to call the attention to the medications for paramedic services are starting to come in. We are looking at increasing our service level within the next couple of months. That will put a paramedic on every shift, and all paramedics will be able to operate at a paramedic level, which is not what we have been able to do as of yet. We still have had, until we go to that, we'll still have to have paramedic interventions from other agencies. The paramedic interventions do drug management and other higher procedure airways and things like that. The other thing that I need to call the attention to was that the firehouse sustained a flood. There was an improperly functioning urinal. It put about 1/4 of an inch of water throughout the entire building. Drywall needed to be replaced, painting needed to be redone, they needed to rip up flooring. So that was a definite unforeseen situation, and an insurance claim has been filed on that. I was told that we don't have a deductible on that insurance claim, so we're looking to have restoration done by the insurance company. With that being said, the East Troy Area Emergency Services District open house, which had been slated for August, was pushed back to September 7th. That open house will happen from 11 to 4. And that's the end of my report. Anybody have questions?
Okay, thank you. Park Committee report, Supervisor Reyes.
I included our past minutes that were approved. I did also submit a letter to the editor that was published last week because earlier in the summer, there was a scout asking about playground equipment in the community pool. So I responded about our new playground equipment. And the editor was kind enough to say she was actually gonna reach out to the mother who submitted the letter to make sure that they saw it. So that was nice. And our next meeting, I forgot to tell you that, Kim, is gonna be, at the hour before our next board meeting, actually. So what is that, September 10th, I think?
So September 9th,
September 9th, yeah, 5:30.
okay, because we need to have a 15-minute special prior to that, for the chief.
Okay. Okay. So we should be fine, from
Yeah.
5:30 to 6, yeah.
Yeah.
And obviously, all of the equipment is installed, and thanks to Todd and his team.
Lots of activity down there too.
Yeah,
So-
I've received feedback too from some of the residents. I love this, kids love the spinny thing and, yeah.
Very cool.
It's, being that I go to the park almost every day, there have been an influx of kids. I don't know where they've come from. I know that some of them are, in the neighborhood because I know where they live. But there have been a lot of people using it. It was 2 weekends ago, I was walking the dogs through there and a couple from Waukesha stopped me. And they were telling me how much they enjoyed coming to the park. They were having dinner in the park, so they made it a special stop after seeing grandkids, so.
Wow.
Lots of good word.
Good job on that letter. And I think even though the publicity is there in so many places, there was a lot of people that were a little surprised. It's like, well, where you been living? But it did help and it was good, well written, so. Okay.
And Booth Lake Memorial.
You're up. Just keep going. Booth Lake.
Yeah, so there I also included the meeting minutes from the previous meetings. There have been a few issues again with people from outside of our community actually trying to use the facility. That Booth Lake is for the town of East Troy, town of Troy, and the village of East Troy. Some issues with outsiders. But the new staff is doing a good job being very professional in managing that and asking people to leave if they are disruptive. I know last month I mentioned that there was consideration on the milfoil treatment in Booth Lake for 2025. They were considering two different options, herbicide treatment or cutting and harvesting. The Booth Lake Management District has already made the decision to move forward with the herbicide treatment, which I included some information on the costs related to that. And that was the lower cost option, estimated at about $4,500 for 3 years. It'll have to be treated once every 3 years. And so the village and the town of Troy have already approved $1,500 for their 2025 budget. It will be included in the total Booth Lake budget as well, but they asked that we pass a similar approval motion in our meeting this evening for the $1,500 herbicide treatment that would be part of the 25 budget.
So that would be in their budget, is just so that they know when they put it in there that we're gonna approve it and not kick it back.
Right.
Number one. Number two, when I first thought about it, I'm going, why are they asking us? But you're an owner.
Right.
We own
And
frontage
that's,
of the
yeah, I
park.
believe my notes help clarify that.
Yes.
Because the park is 3 acres, and so that's how they
Yeah,
calculate.
and they had lineal feet too, I think they did. I've seen it somewhere, but we are a part of it because we own land there, so, and it's split 3 ways. So it's appropriate. So go ahead, make a motion, and we have it in the record that we're saying it's okay.
So I would make a motion that we approve $1,500 for the Booth Lake herbicide treatment to be payable in 2025.
Second.
All right, we have a motion. Second, any further discussion? Hearing none, all in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? None. Motion carries. Okay. Does that complete your report?
Yeah, you see, you can see the rest of the handouts.
Yeah.
The next meeting is this Wednesday, probably. At the town of Troy, this time, instead of at the park.
Okay. Yeah, I like the documentation on that one issue that they had with that unruly person. Because if you don't do it right away, you don't have it. So,
Yeah, and she was trying to go to different social media outlets and, saying how, horribly she was treated. And technically she had no business being there because she was not a resident.
yeah, go figure, right?
And her son was better behaved than she was.
All right, Lake Beulah Management District report. I don't see, oh yeah, there he is. You're hiding. Mr.
Hiding.
Thomas.
The management district met July 30th, 5:30 here at Town Hall. Our next scheduled meeting is the annual meeting, August 27th at 7 o'clock. I submitted a report that was included in the town packet. Do you have any questions that
I have none. Anyone have any questions?
No.
None?
Just briefly, I would like to elaborate on the management district's discussion regarding rezoning at N 8828 Stringers Bridge Road. The current C4 district is not a random configuration or mistake, as been stated in the past, but follows the shape, contours of the land, and was seen as an important factor conserving and protecting both the lake's groundwater resurgence, the documented wetlands along the lake shore, and the sensitive area number 7 of Lake Beulah, designated by the DNR in 1994. The formation of the zoning districts, including the development of C4 area, was a combined effort of the Walworth County Zoning Agency, Sewer PAC, Southeast Wisconsin Regional Planning Commission, and the U.S. Geological Survey, which provided mapping of the existing conditions in the town. Since 1960, Sewer PAC has also developed primary environmental corridors, which occur in conjunction with this C4 district that protect the most important elements of the region's natural resource base. These important elements include the best remaining woodlands, wetlands, and surface water. The C4 district also falls within the area of Lake Beulah designated as a sensitive area in the lake's habitat reinforced by the DNR, with an area further classified as an area of special natural resource interest, or as NARI. The C4 district designation is not a mistake or a random configuration.
Right. Thank you, Greg. Okay, recycling committee report.
Nothing to report tonight.
Okay, library report.
Yes, I have a report from 2 meetings. The first meeting at the East Troy Alliance Public Library, July 9th, 2024. This was the annual meeting, and it comprised of officer elections. The president would be Christina Murphy, vice president Leslie Thomas, secretary Aaron Fremont, treasurer Kathy Gross. Number 2 from that meeting, the 2024 to 2027 strategic plan was approved. The second meeting occurred on August 13th, 2024. During that meeting, the first item, the library budget for 2025 was approved. The budget includes extending Monday hours from a 5 o'clock closing to a 7 o'clock closing. The budget now goes to the Village of East Troy Board for final approval. Number 2 from that meeting. Summer programs have concluded. The Children's Monday programs recorded 748 attendees. 358 total participated in the summer reading program. This is an increase over last year. Number 3 from that meeting, Director Bartoli reported that Prairie Lakes Director Steve Ost reported that the Wisconsin Counties Association has agreed on recommended language for joint library funding issues. Ost then presented the language and background to the Wisconsin Library Association legislative branch. Number 4 from that meeting, the library's Friends Group purchased 2 more chairs for the lower level as more seating was needed to comfortably seat program participants. The refreshed lower level was the featured article in the Prairie Lakes Library System July newsletter. I also have a copy of the library's September-December schedule. That's all.
Very good. Thank you, and Christina. Okay, Planning Commission report, Supervisor Johnner.
Planning Commission met July 10th and the 17th. We had a request for a conditional use. He already was approved for a rezone. He is working on getting a woodworking shop going, and this is Mr. Mike Greason. His request is for PET 1000009, neighboring Army Lake Road, to target retired individuals looking to pursue a woodworking hobby, crafters that need tools, and potentially classes for homeschooled kids and Boy Scout troops. I would like to make a motion to approve the conditional use request for PET 1000009.
Point of order, Mr. Mills. We've been approving the actual resolution that's listed. Should we state resolution approval of petition conditional use permit and name that?
No, you're approving. The planning commission's recommendation.
But we have a resolution here that we're eventually going to.
We are not approving the resolution.
Okay, so continue then.
So I was a bit confused when I saw the agenda. I looked at it, all the agendas the last 2 years, and I've never seen it worded like this.
That's
Is
because.
this something new or?
Because ever since Supervisor Church stepped down from being the planning commission designee, the people that have done it since then have struggled to spit out the proper motion. The proper motion is to approve the planning commission's recommendation to blah, blah, blah.
Whatever they're.
But those first words have to be said.
Okay.
But
I'm
don't you
glad
need
you brought
positive-
that up because I seen the same thing and it was.
Don't you need to have a positive motion though? That would
is
kind of
it.
force me to make a
You're
motion.
making a motion to approve the planning commission's recommendation. That is a positive motion.
Yes.
Okay.
Okay, so you did make the motion just as it's stated
He
here.
didn't say by Mike Greason, B2G.
Motion to approve the planning commission recommendation to approve the conditional use request for PET 1000009 neighboring N9022 Army Lake Road by Mike Greason, VG2 surveying. Applicant Daniel DeGrave.
Okay,
Second.
all right. We have a motion and a second. Discussion.
I think it'll be a useful place for lots of people in the community. I think it's original.
It's original. Yeah. Okay. All right. Any other comments? If not, all right, on the motion to approve that plan commission's recommendation at PET 1000009. All in favor, say aye. Aye. Opposed? None. Motion carries. Thanks for sticking around 2.5 hours. Sorry. But
For the next item on the agenda, given that the planning commission minutes are defunct, I request that we table this to the next meeting. And given that we got new information from everyone in the audience.
I guess I have to ask Attorney Mills on this one.
I would second
Um,
that motion.
Okay, what we have before us,
Yes, motion to table.
your motion table because of the minutes?
Because of the minutes and the new information, it would be beneficial for the Lake Beulah Management District to review what's been submitted by Mr. Stoss and for us to review some of the recommendations given to us. And as much as I'm sure the applicant is a little mad, I would vote to table this because it has been going on for quite a while. There is a lot of stuff that we need to consider when we make this decision, and I don't think that the town is able to review all this in such a short time frame.
Okay, the recommendations that the management district brought up was in regards to a conditional use, which was not acted on by the planning commission, just the rezone.
Right, and that's why, like, if we would get the rezone, it would be nice to go into this with our eyes open, like what kind of conditions we should put on this property.
Well, there is no conditions on a rezone.
Okay.
But what I think Supervisor is saying is there was a request made that the documents that were handed out by the applicant be reviewed by their
by the Lake Beulah Management
organization.
Right, it just so we can be as transparent as possible and have good optics on this. I know people are pretty passionate about this and yeah, so.
Can we have that? I'll make a copy and pass it along to Mr. Bergman right now.
Excuse me, Chairman.
Hold on one second. What we have handed out, what does that have to do with a rezone? Yeah, go ahead.
Well, there was a motion and a second. Do we need?
Yeah, there
figure
needs
that
to be a
out
vote
first?
on it.
Yeah.
Right.
I didn't see it. Who seconded it?
Michelle did.
Oh, thank you, Michelle. I didn't hear you.
Okay, that was a motion to what, table?
Yeah.
To table.
To next month.
To next
To
month.
next month, okay. Still under discussion then. I'll have to refer to Mr. Mills here. The information that was handed out here has nothing to do with the actual item that we're dealing with. It's a rezone.
It does.
It does. There's
It does,
conditions that the Lake Beulah
because-
Management
That's why I'm
District,
asking-
I'd like to come in the middle on this.
That's why I'm
Mr.
asking
Chairman.
the attorney here where I'm going here, because this has probably never happened before.
If it were just the letters that the plan commission had already reviewed, I think you'd be correct.
Okay.
And even the county definitions probably wouldn't need to table for that matter. What caught my interest was the photograph and whether or not it shows a grandfathered use on the parcel in consideration. And the only reason why that may be pertinent is when you are looking at a potential rezone, you look at lot size, the zoning of neighboring properties, the intended use of that parcel. And I think this picture is something new because I don't recall the plan commission
Getting this.
really considering whether or not there was a grandfather use on that side of the road. I mean, this is kind of new information to me. I don't know what the plan commission all reviewed, but
Right,
that may be a reason to
This was
table.
not submitted to the planning commission. This picture was not.
Okay.
It also has a cabin on there. So that wasn't even talked about. And that's what I found on the survey. I found it on the survey. I never saw a picture of it.
I
And that's
also-
why I think it would be in the best interest of us to table this.
Joe,
Yeah, sure.
I want to make it clear that the sensitive area of the lake is also a consideration, and the three that I mentioned before aren't the only things that you consider on a rezone.
Could you
The-
repeat those three? Lot size, intended use, And what was the third?
Zoning of neighboring properties,
Thank you.
and then environmental impacts.
There's more than that.
Sure.
Yeah, okay.
Yeah, and to review what they want for conditions also, and I'm not saying that a rezone is gonna pass. I'm saying we have a lot of new documentation here that I feel like the board members, it would be beneficial for us to review also and going into the next meeting to make a decision.
Well, the question would be then, should the plan commission, I mean, we're talking about information, they were saying, we just get today, the plan commission didn't have the benefit of it, and then we're gonna act on their recommendation without them.
There's already a motion and a second, so you have to.
On the table.
Right.
On the table.
I have a question about the rezone. If the property was to be rezoned, at that time, you put conditional uses with it then?
Separate.
Or that goes,
Rezone is separate than the conditional use.
I would, yes.
but I'm asking, if it was passed to rezone, at that time, is that when you stick the conditional uses with it?
No, because the plan commission never acted on the conditional use.
Right, it would go back to plan
Okay.
commission
We have to
on
go back to you guys.
conditional
Kick it around somewhere.
use restrictions or requirements.
It's more than that, because I think he's requesting.
I believe
No,
this is the
John, I'll
board-
let you.
The board talking here.
Just finish that, and because John had a comment too.
I'm just saying that he's proposing a marina, but there's a definite ordinance on marinas
Separate.
that you have to follow, which is very complicated.
I get all, this is a discussion between the
Yeah.
board, correct?
Yeah, yes,
Okay,
but John.
so then we don't need comments from.
Yeah,
the
we
public.
don't need it from anybody, but
Let's-
I let John,
let's-
so John, you said you had a comment on this last discussion here.
Well, what I was gonna say is, in light of the information that I brought to you, with the documented picture, the timestamp of the picture,
I don't have his timestamp on mine.
He's got it on his
I
phone.
showed
and
everybody.
everything.
Okay.
They wrote on the back of the pictures. So basically, based on the information that I provided, and with your correspondence with Pam Shenzi from the DNR, she basically said that everything that's on that property in 2011, Pierce Watercraft, moving forward, is grandfathered there. So what we're really talking about here is, I'm allowed to have 10 boats there. Am I gonna allow to have commercial boats? Am I gonna
All
have
right.
personal boats?
We're
That's
totally,
not what we're talking about.
yeah, we're totally off subject here now, because that grandfathering issue, you're totally wrong. They don't grandfather boats, they grandfather piers. Piers. No, but that's not what we're doing here. The request here was for a rezone and conditional use. The plan commission acted on the rezone. Okay, what Joe Donner is saying is, hey, there's some more information here. That's why you made the motion to table us another month. My concern is we're gonna have more information here. We're supposed to act here without the plan commission looking at the new information, supposedly the new information.
Well,
I have a
Well, after
problem with
this,
that.
can't
So
we
what
make
is
a
your-
motion?
Yes, you
and
can.
pass
We
the
can
plan?
make that motion next
We
month.
can.
Send it back.
We can.
You can make it after this motion is voted on
Right.
at this
That's my
meeting.
point. Yeah,
Right, okay.
So call the order.
Yeah, we have the motion and a second to table this. Okay, roll call, go ahead, start.
Aye.
Church, I.
Reyes, aye.
Leonard, I.
Garkowski, aye. So table. Now the question is what the hell to do with it, okay? Because the information that we got here new, to me, it's not really talking about rezone. It has nothing to do with rezone, boats, piers, nothing. The request is for a rezone. So if there's supposedly information here that leads to the question of the rezone, your plan commission has to look at all this. So I think it should get sent back to them. I don't know why, I mean, it'd be inappropriate for me to say right now that we have this and we're gonna act on this now on our own. That's wrong.
So
That's
make a
wrong.
motion.
Well, that's why his motion was made.
Yes,
That's
I'll
why I made the motion, so we can review it. And I can
By
talk to
we,
you
it
guys
goes
like
beyond.
him and Joel Cook and see, like, get a little bit of more information here. That's all I'm
Did
asking
you make
for,
the
a little more
motion
time. Yes,
to-
to
to-
table it and it
Yeah,
Oh, I-
that's
I
done.
understand that, but we now need a motion to send it back to the planning
I
commission.
don't want to do that. I don't feel it's good yet. We
No.
can send it back next month after we review this.
After we review it?
Yes.
I think it needs to
No,
go to the
that makes
planning.
no
Other way
sense.
around.
Yeah, we
Because
can't
it
do
came
it.
to the planning commission from us, it needs to go back to the
Yes.
planning commission.
It has to. All right, I'll make a motion that we send this, the motion, what is it? The deny?
K2.
Yeah, K2, send it back to the plan commission. And then at that time, well, whatever John would want to submit, you have to submit it in time for the next meeting, whenever that is.
Have to resubmit an application?
No,
No, what you gave to the board,
whatever,
get this
That.
before plan commission.
yes, and that would also mean that anybody else that has other information would also have to submit theirs. You know,
Okay, and then.
because we heard a little bit here
Right.
from,
And then at the same time, that's gonna give Supervisor Johnner and Jen from the planning commission, that's gonna give them time to review the tapes, adapt the minutes so the minutes match the videos.
it's all recorded.
Well, it's
yes.
not gonna be
It's all
Jen
recorded.
and
It's
Supervisor
gonna be the
Janer.
planning
It's gonna,
commission.
whole plan commission.
Right.
Has to make
Right.
amendments to it
'Cause the-
and agree to those amendments.
Right, when I watched the videos and I read the minutes, there were a little bit of discrepancies. It was pretty close, but there were some indifferences.
Yeah, and if you, I mean, again, we want it accurate, we want it right, but the record though, I mean, the tape is there, it's all there. I watched it a couple times.
I'm
Yeah.
sorry, did someone second the motion to return it to the planning commission? Thank you.
All right, do we have a motion and a second?
Yes.
Yep.
No more discussion?
And
Okay.
what was the motion, Kim?
To send it back to the planning
Plan
commission.
commission.
Here's a review of the submitted documents.
More work.
With new.
Yes, okay, on the motion to send it back to the plan commission, all in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Aye, opposed?
Nay.
Motion carries. All right. Next item, request the Walworth County to address the highway safety concerns at Stone School Road in County L. There's several moving parts on this. Chief, can you come up just for a little bit? First of all, the committee already gave some information stating that they have a new design coming up on this in the near future here, number one.
Not me.
And number two, as Jim Mills had mentioned, I think it's appropriate that we have a motion, just like we did some other ones today, that we're on the record as a board saying, hey, county, please look at the safety at this intersection. We can say things like, look at the speed limit, look at the design of that intersection, all of that. But we have to go on record saying we request as a town to have the county highway safety committee not only look at it, but make appropriate changes, as soon as practical. Okay, so the words that you had when you discussed it with the committee and how this is gonna go?
Went to the highway safety committee meeting. And at that point, Supervisor Reyes and her husband were able to speak. At that time, the board kind of deferred to me to talk about the intersection, pointed out some of the inconsistencies at there. Long and short of it, I don't remember the magic words off the top of my head, but I know what I said prompted the commissioners, because having been part of that governing body, there's certain magic words that they need to hear in order to get it on the agenda to take a closer look at it. After that was done, Mr. Huff informed us all that that in Highway L is under review for 2028, 27 or 28. I don't remember which one, 2 to 3 years out, at which point he wanted to bring to the attention of and possibly have that intersection re-engineered. I'm not an engineer. I don't know how you make a 5-point intersection, a 4-point intersection, but that's kind of what that needs, or some setbacks, especially with the school there. It is my humble opinion that I have enough evidence, not necessarily from traffic crash data, which is what they really like to have at the highway safety. Everything from Wisconsin DOT is very crash data driven. But with the layout of the road, with the hill, with the speed limit, with the school, I think it's fairly reasonable to look at a potential 35-mile-an-hour school zone approaching that intersection, especially with, it's not a normal 5-point because of the offsets. Down by the village of Walworth, Highway 14, if you've ever gone from Walworth to Darien, there's a 6-point intersection. So that is a true cross with a road down the middle. You have good sight lines.
By Whiskey Ranch?
No, this is right outside the village of Walworth. It's a 6-point intersection, but those intersections are symmetrical. So when you think of intersection as the cross and then it has a road going straight through the middle, this is wonky, to say the least. Stone School goes this direction, L goes at a slightly different angle, and then Miramar hits it at another weird or strange angle, which creates really hellacious spots. So even where the highway shop, I believe, recently painted stop lines, if you, in all good faith, came to a complete stop at the stop line as required by Wisconsin law and went, you're going to cause a crash because you have to literally go another car length out into the road to look left towards McQuanigo to see if there's anything coming.
I was just gonna say that.
And so by definition of that road, it clearly needs to be re-engineered. And anybody from the commission that would take a leisurely drive out there, and right now it's time of day, and how we don't have more crashes at that intersection, I have no idea how we don't have more crashes.
I know we
Because,
have more near misses than
Well,
crashes.
you have-
right, exactly. We
you
have a
have
lot
this-
of near misses.
You have the sun and that tree that
Yeah.
also factor into the hazardness of that
Right.
intersection.
And that tree is far enough off the right of way
I know
that
it's on the guy.
the highway shop kind of sort of has to ask permission to cut some of those branches back, which
I went there the other day and it looked like they did cut some of those branches.
they
a
may
little.
have, they may have.
They're up a little bit now.
Probably 5 foot on.
Yeah.
They may have done something, but I know that the homeowner, and it's their tree.
Right.
They have some say in that,
The
so.
resident was here this meeting, but I think she gave up on us.
Oh, okay.
All right, well-
But yeah, it's gonna be under review, and I think, like I said, at a minimum, we should be able to get them to seriously consider a speed limit change with the
Yes,
school there
Because that
and a
part can
slow
be
down.
done relatively quickly.
Right.
The redesign of that, I mean, we're talking about time it's built, it's probably 4 or 5 years from now. That's not acceptable. So speed limit, especially now that there's ATVs on there potentially,
Yeah.
that should be a action that they could do quicker. So the motion that you or I make should state that, including reviewing the speed limit at that location.
Absolutely.
So you want to make that?
Well, I'd like to just comment, as the chief mentioned, we were there as residents. I believe they said that it will be on the October agenda
It will.
already.
Yep.
They have agreed to that. As they said, they were looking at 27 or 28. I think they mentioned a roundabout potentially. But when our request as residents was like to reduce the speed limit to 35 and add flashing lights on both sides for the intersection. And so I don't know exactly how it'll be presented on the agenda.
And I can just
Yeah,
give
yes.
the board's information. If the board wanted flashing lights, my suggestion would be to check your budget and see if you could go halvesies with solar, and the county would be open to that. I know some situations have come up when I was part of that committee down by Lake Geneva, and when the municipality has put some skin in the game, they like skin in the game instead of just having the county or the state foot the whole thing. So that's just my opinion. For you guys to consider. That's totally up to you, but I know that they listen if you're like, hey, if we want flashing lights, we're willing to help To what extent you want to help, that's up to you folks, but I know that puts a little skin in the game and that they pay attention to that.
All right, so we need board action that says as a town hall, as a whole, that we're requesting Walworth County to look at that intersection as well as potentially,
And could a board member draft that, or do we have to go through Attorney Mills or?
No, I think we just make the motion right here and we send the meeting minutes. They can put them into their record. So.
Oh, we don't.
There will not be meeting minutes that quick.
No.
I don't think they're gonna want to
October?
read minutes
No.
either.
No,
We just
a
give them-
letter from you
I could do that.
would be
or you
perfect.
could-
From the
I could do it.
board.
From the board, and
Should
I
be
would
signed by
say,
all board
We have to
members?
authorize-
would you be willing to sign that letter? Or don't you think you need to be involved?
And I'm planning on
Safety
going to
clause.
that meeting, and I'd be happy to present the letter,
Okay,
because I know I'm gonna have to present.
I think it'll have more weight if
Okay.
you have the chief's signature on that letter with
Okay.
the board.
Yes.
So
All right.
I would make a motion, that Chairman Clarkowski and I draft a letter to the County Highway Safety Commission, to recommend 35-mile-an-hour speed limit and flashing lights at the intersection of County L and Stone School and Miramar, and have it signed at the next meeting by the board and the chief.
Second.
All right, we have a motion second. Any further discussion? Hearing none, all in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? None, motion carries. Okay,
Thank
I'll get something within a week to you. We can kick it on. Send. Okay,
The
Yeah.
next meeting, the safety meeting with the county is October 1st. That's what I heard.
I gotta check my calendar, I don't believe so, it's usually.
But we'll be meeting in September anyway, here.
Tuesday.
Nice for a lot.
It would be Tuesday the first or Tuesday the eighth.
That's the only reason I bring it up.
Not
Okay.
Tuesday.
all right. Next item on the agenda was an update on Lake Beulah culverts and bridge repairs. Todd is not here yet. Joe wrote a little note here. I believe it's in our packet, right?
Yep.
First of all, if you want to know the status of these bridges,
It would be, basically, I want to ask for permission to make a motion to keep researching. I'm trying to look at potential costs of replacing these. I made a call to Richard Huff. He's really knowledgeable on this stuff about, kind of like what Todd Shield was saying earlier about funding for replacement of these structures. Apparently, there's none right now and no grants available, but they got a database going on right now, and they're working within the next 2 years to possibly get grant money. And I just want to see like exactly how much it would
All right.
cost.
all right, all of these are in process, everything you mentioned. Okay, so I'll just go through them in order. Stringers Bridge Road, there's nothing structurally wrong with that bridge. The bridge is fine. Todd's got a couple bolt holes that were broke off. I believe he patched them just so the fines can come through. So there's nothing the matter with stringers. What I will tell you is when that bridge is replaced, it should go higher. We've seen the picture from John, the one where the pontoon went through there. It was a deck boat or pontoon, but they went through there. Heads were close. So there's really nothing wrong with that bridge, okay? The other one we talked about, Beulah Heights, that one there, we've been watching that one for a long time. That is on the program for the 6 to 20 foot, and we will need funding for that unless we just pull the trigger at budget time. That's when we do this, of saying, let's put that one on the plate for next year, and that would need to be engineered, okay? That bridge.
Could we use ARPA funds for that?
ARPA's done, gone.
Okay.
And the bridge funds, the program that Richard was mentioning, we got 100% paid for a bridge right there, Beach Road. Okay, we were lucky because most time it's 80-20. That's 100%. So that one is good, and that was the one that would really mess up the town if that bridge got not only posted or closed. Okay, Stringers is not sinking, by the way. Stringers never sunk. No, but the one by Dockside, potentially, review the pictures of that, the historic pictures of it, and it's lost 1.5 feet of headspace since Maxine Huff was there when they put the bridge in. But so that one there, but it really happened is there's a steel plate arch, you have compression of the top. All the heavy loads going over there actually pushed that one down,
Yeah.
the top of it. But looking at how the sides were shaped and comparing the two photographs, it appears that that one could have potentially sunk. Okay, it could have. Not all of it, but I bet you that's a contributing factor. We've applied twice for that bridge. That job was $2.5 million. Okay, that's going to need funding. Now, Beulah Heights, that's one that we could probably potentially fit into our road budget, or new roads budget. Okay, but that one there, when we do dockside, needs actually that whole road there has to be reconstructed to some extent. Okay, there's also some erosion issues with water coming down the hill from the northwest, due south, coming from the south. So that would have to be in there also. That's why that job got up to $2.5 million, because it was the whole road from the intersection by Lindy's all the way up past where Greg Thomas's driveway up the hill there a little bit. So those are the discussions we have to have on there in our budget. All right. To the actual program this is under, I was the program manager for construction Southeast local program for the local program. Okay. So I know all the guys that do it, but it's now run by the state again. They took it back, so they're doing it again. The money, even though we got 100% there, and we're trying now for the second time to get the ARIP, that's a discretionary. They say it's a one time. Well, that's the first time. But the other discretionaries that we tried to do on Lindy's, that one is $50 million a year. We tried twice. I don't know if we could write it any better than we did, because that affects upstream boaters. I mean, there's boats that are always over there by dockside that get underneath there. I don't know what kind of boats those are, John. You see those low ones they got? They get through the
Little dinghy boats.
Well, no,
Yeah. Yeah.
It's 18 inches for the photograph. Yeah.
I guess what I'm just asking for permission to look and Stringers Bridge Road, I called a guy named Phil from the Department of Transportation or something with structures. The guy from DOT put me to Phil, and he told me that, again, town has to pay for it right now, as of now. But you can look for different avenues of funding. So I guess I'm just asking permission if
Richard Huff is the guy, I talked to. That's the same guy that I talked to, the same guy that Todd talks to. Okay. And our engineers, that when we get them involved, they have to coordinate with the county guy and the DOT. Okay. But if you want to chase it around, those grant programs are online and they're set cycles. But the thing is, you pay money to apply, just like the one we're talking about here, even though it's a cheap one. Next one, Europe. But then when you build it, you have to design and construct it according to federal standards, which really increases the cost of it. Now, are you getting a better bridge? Yes. Okay. Is it worth that much more than one that we design ourselves, like when we replace Carver School Road? You can look at that one. We have a price on that. But the inflation on road bridge construction is absolutely crazy. I mean, you may think that's 100,000. No, that's $500,000. Okay. This job here is not going to go for the $3.5 million, because I don't think we're going to raise it up. We can't. But the money you have to spend at the beginning, then you may not get it. Okay. But you do get 80% of it paid for, but it's costing you twice as much as than if you did it yourself. By yourself, I'm saying we hire RSV or Core Engineering or Earth Tech or whatever, hire them to do it. They have to follow those state and federal standards, and otherwise you don't get the money. So you want to chase around and see what you see out there, but all of those are online
and for
the
funding.
programs.
And for funding, I know private residents back behind Lulabelle's, if you knock on their door and they'd say, "Hey, we'll give you 10 grand for it." How much can you get, promised or whatever to go towards that? That's kind of why I wanted to get this on here. I think it'd be inappropriate for me right now to go and knock on a door and say, "Hey, give me some money, I want to fix this thing, I just want permission, so I'm not going against any ethics or anything like that. I guess I don't know.
Yeah.
Might get reported.
I think what you gotta do, our budget, when is our first budget workshop? October?
We haven't set one yet.
Okay, that's
That's
be
for-
October, November?
Yeah.
Okay, that's the time when we would stick money in there, so to speak. But before that, we would have to say which one we want to do. For instance, the one that Todd just mentioned, Beulah Heights, we've been looking at that one for a long time, actually. But this spring, we looked at it and said, all right, we need the temporary repair right now, but it also needs replacement. Okay? There's nothing, the other two aren't gonna fall in. Okay? That one could, Beulah Heights. Because if that whole wall just decides to lay over in the creek, okay, in the channel or canal, yeah, now you have a problem. You could put a temporary bridge in there, obviously, but yeah.
I don't think that either Ty or Joe know that you're a retired civil engineer.
I do.
and Registered
I just-
licensed surveyor
Yeah.
and have doing
Well,
road
in
work
fact, I
for
think,
I do.
I think,
That's why I put it-
I think
years.
Chairman Karkowski should take Mr. Supervisor Johnner under his wing and teach him all this. Because at some point, he's going to retire and someone's
can't
gonna need to
retire.
know all this.
It needs to be
Kim
6
won't let
more
me
years.
retire.
So I'd like to make a motion.
Do whatever you want. All I'm telling you is that, me and Todd are all over these because that's what we do, okay?
And the Towns Association sends out, you get the emails every time they have some kind of program coming
Right.
up that you can find out all the information
And they
about
have-
what's
I
out
think
there
he's
for
just
towns.
asking if he can learn
to-
more, that's all.
Or if I can go door to door and ask, hey, if we would put this on the agenda to get it fixed, would you donate?
Ugh, That's a slippery slope.
Yeah, I don't know if I would do
That's-
that.
No.
It-
I
it's-
would say any research you want to do to better inform yourself, you can, as long as there's no, unless it's budgeted for, no money's,
Right.
tied to it.
Yeah,
I think
and-
the first step would be to get estimates, right?
well, it depends upon what we're looking at. That's again,
And
budget
what we're
time is
gonna
when
do
you,
and how
when you do it.
In order to budget, you need an
You
estimate.
might want to
How do I
defer
push
to
this
his
along so we can go to the
knowledge and
next
expertise
thing
on
here?
some of
Let's
this.
move on,
9:30.
please.
Let's get out of here.
It's not 10
4.
o'clock yet.
It's 4 hours.
We're at 4 hours.
Okay, but like Jim said, please, go ahead. You want to research some stuff, go ahead. But I'm in a loop on that, obviously. Todd is in a loop on it all the time because he's our road superintendent. He's got to do it, okay? So for sure, we're going to probably do something budget time with Beulah Heights. The other one, we have to figure out when the next cycle is to try to get East Shore, okay, because that would be the road and the bridge. And that's going to be a very expensive one, so. Okay, that suffice?
Right.
Good.
Okay, so just wait till budget time, you're saying?
For the action stuff,
Recommendation.
but do you want to go ahead and go on the state
Search
website?
for money sources or anything like that. Even coming up with a contact list of people. There might be someone on your list that we don't know about.
And the Towns Association has excellent resources.
Yep. Okay, let's move on. This is the very same thing we've been talking about. If you want to get state and federal money, you have to apply. So under new business, we have a Lynch proposal, and that was submitted to us Thursday afternoon, so I think you already had your packet put together. So it's an easy 2-pager. Gave it to you. You got here, dated August 15th. This is for him to take the grant application he submitted 6 months ago, update it, because now we did a part of the road ourselves. So it's gonna make it a smaller job, which would really probably help us. And this round of ARIP is 100 million, where the last round was 50 million. And a lot of the hot ticket bridges and roads in the intense agricultural areas got the first 50 million. So this is Lynch. He's got a good track record overall. Not so good with us, but he's provided a proposal here that's due 30th of September, I believe. It's got to get in, but it's $3,300. And my recommendation is to approve this so we could try for, I think that's going to be, it was 4.5 million. Now it's going to be probably 3 million. Go ahead, Barb.
I'm not sure I see any.
Yeah.
No, I
I know.
don't-
It's in the packet I
we're all
gave.
Scrambling.
I gave it to you and
It wasn't in
you
your
sat down.
regular packets I gave you. It was
The one I-
not
the one I
that
stapled?
night. It's the last page.
The one that starts with the
Oh.
passing of the giant.
Oh, that one.
Yeah.
That doesn't go together.
No, it's all the latest.
Thank you, Phil.
Two sides of the last page.
Oh, I know, wow.
There it is. Yeah. So it took a little minute. It's pretty easy reading. There ain't much to it.
Just make a motion to approve.
So
Read
the,
it.
This is basically round two. What do
What?
we have to rewrite?
Oh, because
Just
we
take off the one section.
we did the first section of it, so it's now gonna be
We're
gone.
going to.
So we're asking for less money,
Yes.
which might increase our chances this go around.
Plus, it's 100 million instead of 50 million. And I found out from the guy that actually makes these choices, recommendations. He's actually our district director of Town Association. And he says, make sure that you really state the state highway connections. And I think we did, but we're gonna emphasize that too.
Well, he wanted pictures, a story about how it affects the town and the
Yeah.
neighbors and stuff
He
like
said
that.
his recommendation is, he says, just tell me in plain English what you're gonna do and why it's important to your town. He said that's the main thing. We don't have to go any farther than that, but make it so it's clear. Well, Lynch, I don't know how many of these they do a year, but it's in the hundreds. Okay, all the programs that are DOT. This is a discretionary one. It's called ARIP, Agricultural Roads Improvement Program. That's why we went after this one, because of the amount of agriculture on Honey Creek Road. So it'd be my recommendation to approve this and tell them to get going on it and submit it by the timeline 30th of September.
So do you need a motion?
Yes.
Yes.
I'll make a motion that we ask Lynch Engineering to
No,
revise,
you're approving the
just-
proposal,
Here's a proposal.
approve the proposal for
Honey Creek Road,
the,
ARAP,
Right there in business
Round two.
number 10.
right on your agenda.
sorry.
That's where you make it easier.
Too late.
Yeah, it is.
I'll make a motion that we approve the Lynch proposal to submit Honey Creek Road to the ARIP discretionary round 2.
Very
I'll
good.
second.
All right. Michelle second. Discussion.
I just have a quick question. So this is the second time we're going for?
Yes.
Well, it's less money. How much did we pay Lynch the first time?
5,000?
So we're getting a discount because it's the second time? It's only
Yeah.
3,300 this time?
I think it was
What they
fine.
have.
And we don't get any of this money back if we don't get the.
No, that's the deal about taking
Okay.
federal and state money. You have no way of knowing you're gonna get it or not. But yeah, I believe it was 5,000. But he has to basically reinvent the wheel on this, not the paperwork.
For
But-
some reason, I want to say 4,500.
Yeah, I think that's about right. So he has to revise the estimates. He's gonna revise it according to some of those keywords I mentioned. And he's going to submit it with all the appropriate backup
But
information.
we're not guaranteed to get the money.
No, you never
we
are.
didn't-
Okay.
No grant is guaranteed.
Do you know, like, what portion we narrowed it down to, like, from the village to,
Okay, from State Highway 120 to,
well, that covers part of the
Be
village.
professional. No, the part we have is here. This is the part that we paid. What we have left to do is.
All the way to
All the way to.
Miller?
Yeah.
Okay.
The split Miller Road. Okay, we have a motion in a second to approve that proposal. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? None, motion carries. Okay, authorize attorney to review Baker Tilly contract. Need a motion on that?
I'll make a motion that we authorize Attorney Mills to review the Baker Tilly auditing contract.
Second.
All right, motion and second, discussion. Hearing none, all in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? None, motion carries.
Do it again for B.
I'll make a motion to authorize Attorney Mills to amend the no parking ordinance.
We
And
have,
that's just to change the spelling of one of the roads.
it's incorrect.
From Lake
Oh,
Lane.
Oh.
Second, I second
I
that.
second, yeah.
All right, discussion, hearing none, all in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, none, motion carried. Okay, special events, and this came up kind of weird, because we've been doing special event permits forever, right? As long as you've been here, right? And obviously always at the park. And then anytime we had a big event where it was possible that we were gonna totally shut down a subdivision, we had the chief review it, and we got a permit. Now, I agree with, it was Joe Jones. When I read this and I marked it up, I'm going, wait a minute, when you read it, it starts, what I wrote down here, it says, rest of chapter infers event is held anywhere in the town, yet the first page under purpose, it says town property.
Correct.
Yep.
Town of East, property owned by the town of East Troy.
Yep.
So.
So the question is, do we want to, as a board, regulate what happens on private properties?
No.
Or do we
No.
limit this ordinance to town-owned properties only?
Yeah.
That's basically the question. And
Okay.
if that's the answer, then you need to authorize me to take out
Correct.
anything that does not reference town property.
Okay, I think I know.
Or private property.
Yeah, do you know the date?
You want
That
town
does-
property.
Yes.
Do you know when this one was written? Do you have any idea?
Before my time.
Okay, before you.
Yeah, originally it was, but we had amended it.
You did,
Yes.
okay. Because if I remember right.
It was right around the time where Clay wanted to use the landfill for his dog
Coursing,
thing.
dog coursing,
Yes.
yeah, the speed dog.
And that was town property.
Yeah. but
Yeah,
that
it was town property.
And of course, the park is here, so, all right, and I heard a whole bunch of no's here, just be careful here. The ones that we normally got, correct me if I'm wrong, we've had some pretty big events, haven't we? Like 100 people anniversaries or
I mean,
weddings. Not every
we've
time.
had
Yeah, in
large
the park.
graduation parties. I think it's a matter of courtesy that people did it for their neighbors, for the parking, so that I live on Beulah Heights Road and I'm having a graduation party and I've got cars parked from here to Kingdom Come. That's gonna narrow an already narrow road.
Yeah. Okay,
I
I
mean-
think that's why we did it, and again.
The only other thing is like the yacht club. I mean, because that's congest East Shore when they do their regatta thing, whatever.
Yeah. But it does say, in here.
Don't they apply for a permit?
The yacht club does, but it's
Yeah.
not town property.
Right.
It's private
So they
property.
wouldn't have
It's
to.
not required.
Correct.
Yeah.
Wouldn't have to.
But there is something here that makes reference to other, not the proof of ownership, special events. Oh, it does not include commercial properties. There is that exception in here
Yes.
somewhere, which would mean,
The yacht club.
well, is that commercial? It's a nonprofit. Like a bar is definitely commercial. But is the, yeah, I guess it is, because
The private,
it's private.
commercial enterprise.
Yeah, so they still would have to.
It does not include commercial properties?
The way this is written here said it did.
I thought it.
No, I thought it does say.
It
it
does.
No,
does
okay,
include
that's-
commercial properties.
Where is
So
that?
we want town and commercial properties, but not private property.
Where do they see
I
that?
think commercial properties was in here, if
I didn't circle that. Equals much roads, highway access.
On the last page, it says commercial properties shall be exempt from the requirements of this chapter.
Okay, is that the very last page?
Very last
Oh, yeah.
page.
That's where I seen it.
Exempt.
well, which they shouldn't, they probably already have conditional uses put on them, right?
They
A
have,
bar. Oh,
They
a
have
commercial establishment,
And
yes.
they still,
Yes.
so,
They have uses
They have
put on
established
them.
parking.
so if I had a bar and I had a patio, I'd still have to abide by the noise ordinance and stuff like that.
you still have to do all
Yeah,
that.
and shutting, close down time and all
Right.
that stuff.
Where did you see that, Barbara? I didn't find it here.
Last page.
9 of 10?
No, it's 2-2.
Okay.
It's under
Assemblage a
chapter
large number of people.
5.10.
All right, that's where it said.
But it's
Commer-
that's a different
That's a different
section
chapter.
of the town code.
Yeah. So that we're not dealing with that. We're only dealing with the first one. And what I'm hearing here is we want to do it, I guess, just for town property. Is that what I'm hearing?
Well, that's, I think, what was originally intended.
Well, that's what it says.
Yeah.
Directly. But yet when you read the rest of it, it's, why would you have to provide proof of ownership if it's town property?
You wouldn't.
Right.
I think it's because there was an overlap with respect to, maybe it was trying to reconcile the two different codes. One that says you need a special permit if you're gonna have 150 or more people versus this code.
Oh, so that.
And they're both called special events.
Yeah, that makes sense.
And my question is, and again, I'm just bringing it up while you're discussing it. I believe the yacht club does special event permits when one of their members wants to have their wedding there. That's probably gonna be over 150 people. And as a courtesy, they do a special event permit where what I'm hearing is they may not need to do a special event permit where at a wedding, if they have an outdoor band, music by the lake carries, that type of thing, it's kind of a courtesy. They're giving us a heads up, hey, on Saturday, we're having a wedding reception at our place, which is kind of nice to know about.
Well, if it's 150, they have
Especially
to.
for parking
Yeah.
or emergencies.
I was gonna say emergency
Situations.
services, if there's a fire, a
Right.
house that exploded in Elkhorn, if something like that were to happen, you know that you've got,
Right,
you know, this
a
large
party,
gathering.
right, you're gonna
But
need
you have to have a large number of
Yeah.
people in a small area.
Exactly.
Okay, so what's your pleasure?
So my take is we can leave chapter 510 as is. And if a private citizen is going to have 150 or more people at their event, they still need to get a special event permit under this town code section. But for section 12.65, that I do believe needs to be limited to town property.
I would
I
agree.
agree. I make a motion that we amend chapter 12.65 to
We authorize Attorney Mills to.
authorize Attorney Mills to amend chapter 12.65 special events to town property owned only.
Second.
Joe Donner, second. Discussion? Hearing none, all in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? None, motion carries. Okay, license and special event permits, here we go.
I have one for Laura Rahman for Bloom 360 Learning Committee. I gave you all a flyer from that. If you're interested in going, they are offering free tickets to the town board members, but you must call me and I will give you the gentleman's name to call.
Okay.
And that is on September 27th for Board of 7, and it's a Stone School Alumni Reunion.
I make a motion.
We can do both at one time.
Oh, okay, cool.
And then the other one is for the LBAPA to use the Town Hall Pavilion, the park for their fall meeting on September 21st from 8 to noon.
I make a motion that we authorize special event permit for Laura Rahman on September 27th, 2024 for the Stone School Alumni Reunion.
Second.
And a special event permit for the LBPIA for the Jim Burns Memorial Park for the fall meeting on September 21st, 2024.
Second.
All right, we have motion second to approve those two special event permits. Any discussion? Hearing none, all in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Aye, opposed? None, motion carries.
Okay. August 20th is the next ETA ESD meeting at 5 o'clock. August 21st is the Booth Lake Park Board meeting at 6:30. August 27th, 6 o'clock PM, I think, is the Tri-Troy meeting at the Village Hall, which is everybody, full board.
I mentioned at the last
Wait.
one, Troy, I will not be available. So, just so you know.
August 27th, when is that? Next
It's the
Tuesday.
Tuesday, It's next Tuesday.
Yeah, next Tuesday. We're gonna, yeah, we're gonna
I
have.
can't make Tuesdays.
I'll be out of town.
We're gonna be approving the, not approving, we're gonna give the go-ahead or not give the go-ahead to the fire district on whether or not it's continue with their study on the potential merger of the fire departments. We're gonna probably also discuss that cemetery deal, because we'll have all the boards there, even though Troy's not involved. Troy has told me they have several people in that cemetery, and they are concerned. And then also have a presentation from Ehlers that discusses the financial
Merger.
implications for that potential merger. So if you can't make it, but it is noticed. We will be acting, and that's all we can do.
Okay. Then the town hall will be closed on September 2nd for Labor Day. September 4th and 18th are the next planning commission meetings. September 9th at 5:30 is the park board. 6:15 will have to be, or we could do 6:10 maybe. Will be the special or the closed session for police department. And then the regular town board meeting at 6:30. September 18th is the next Goose Lake Park Board meeting, and it's also typo there. It's a statutory deadline to mail the absentee ballots for the general election. Jean and I, after having lived through this last meeting, just throwing it out there for the future in November, if maybe we could bump the November meeting to the 18th instead of the 11th, because the election will put us in the grave. It's gonna be brutal. So just a thought maybe, but that would also be the date of our public budget hearing. And then budget workshops, at this point, I just want days that are not good. Like say you bowl every Thursday night or something like that. If you guys got days that don't work for you for the budget workshops, we need to have one in September and then one midway through October.
So provide September and October.
Thanks.
Don't work.
A motion to adjourn?
Nope.
No,
Not
we
yet.
got it.
Review
By the way,
bills. Don't we do that?
Budget workshop dates.
Oh, you need dates from budget workshop.
so we'll get those to you.
Okay.
Why don't we just send an email?
Okay, I'll send an email
Yeah.
and then you guys can reply to me with
For
hard
October.
no's for budget workshops.
Don't reply all.
Don't
Yeah.
reply all, just
Yeah.
reply to me.
All right, I did find that last grant, Michelle, that last grant to do the ERIP was 6,800. And this one has,
It is the 19th.
how much was this one we just?
3,300.
Yeah. So,
So we got 10 grand in.
Half.
yeah, some people have like 10 times that. Okay, now we can adjourn.
All right.
Motion to
wait,
adjourn,
one more
motion to listen to Chief Jarecki.
Just want to make
There's
you
no
all
second.
aware, got an email from Sheriff Gerber, the county board chairman, emailed the sheriff saying that he's getting all kinds of complaints about speeders in the 55-mile-an-hour zone on County J in the area of County E, and they're putting out speed trailers, and I just wanted to make you aware. So if you see county sheriff speed trailers, the sheriff's having them put up at the behest of the county board chairman for all the speeders in the 55-mile-an-hour zone. And I did ask for their downloaded report so I can review and go, there's not that many speeders.
Or now you know where to sit.
I make a motion to adjourn.
Thank you.
Second. Okay, you got it.
Who was second?
Michelle.
Michelle? Okay.
All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, none, motion carried.
Oh, come
Thank
on,
you.
somebody needs to say nay, just for the record.
Stop.
Come on.
Stop.
We just want to keep going. As long as it's not a majority, go ahead, say that.
What?
Now I gotta go to work.
You gotta go work.
Well, I missed the
No, I did not get anything.